Ladies and gentlemen, we are live on this late morning on a Saturday in late April as it is time for NASCAR Cup Series practice and qualifying from the Dover Motor Speedway for this weekend's running of the Wurth 400. A doubleheader of action for you guys on this Saturday with this NASCAR Cup Series action with practice and qualifying all on the same stream right here, right now. And then following that at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time this afternoon, we will have NASCAR Xfinity Series flag-to-flag coverage as well. As practice is just beginning, just to refresh you guys as far as how this works, each group will get 20 minutes of practice. The field is basically split in half for each group, and then after practice is done, which each group have in their 20-minute session, we will have qualifying, and they will qualify in their respective groups as well. Random draw decides what driver is in what group, and that is where we see, as of right now, 18 cars about ready to hit the racetrack for the start of practice today. As usual, Mike Joy, Kevin Harvick, Clint Boyer are in the Fox booth. I'll let them take over for this portion of the broadcast, and then we'll continue this live commentary coverage. Be sure to hit the like button on this live stream. Also, be sure to hit the subscribe button if you are new. For more NASCAR content every weekend, we have NASCAR live commentary streams on the NASCAR Cup Series, NASCAR Xfinity Series, and NASCAR Truck Series side of things, all for races. And then, as you see right here, again, practice and qualifying for the Cup Series every weekend as well. Dover Motor Speedway this weekend, 400-lap, 400-mile race tomorrow afternoon. The Xfinity race later today will be 200 laps, 200 miles. But as far as this one goes, cars are on the racetrack. Let's turn it over to the FS1 booth.
Change this week. Let's check with Jamie Lewis.
Yes, that's right. After that big crash for Erik Jones a week ago at Talladega, he will be sitting out this race. But he is here. So his relief driver, young Corey Heim. He's never been in a Cup car before. Of course, he's a 9-time winner in the ARCA Menard Series, 6-time winner in the trucks. So he is in the car for the first time. But he's the backup driver for Legacy Motor Club and 2311. He's in the shop almost weekly. He does a lot of the simulation, but there's nothing like actually being in the race car. The good news for Corey Heim going through the transition, we have Jimmy Johnson here on the team racing this weekend. Matt Kenseth is here helping, and you saw that shot of Erik Jones. He's on top of the hauler, listening and getting feedback where he can. So a big day, a little bit bittersweet for Corey Heim.
Thanks, Jamie. Let's go back 1 week to Talladega. Hard hit for the 43 and Erik Jones, who once the car came to rest said, I'm going to need some help getting out. My back hurts. However, he was checked at the infield care center and released. He went to Birmingham, checked into the hospital that evening, was released, came back to Charlotte, and they found a hairline fracture of a vertebrae. So the timetable for his return is up to the doctors.
Just tells you how strong these guys are. I mean, not only did he hit, he knew immediately, said it on the radio, man, my back is not right here. Went to the care center, came out, granted us an interview, standing there, right? Standing upright, then went, hey, something's wrong. Went back to the hospital, and they found that fracture. Just, these boys are tough. And Kevin, you can't hit any harder than he hit.
No, and that was, somewhere around 70 G impact. And when you talk about that impact with everything that the angle and everything that went with that wreck, it's just a really difficult spot to be in from a driver's standpoint when you know that you don't feel right, you're hurt, you want to be in the car, and you know if you expose that, that there's a possibility that you're going to sit out, but he knew he was hurt.
And if you have any kind of an injury, especially a back injury, this is not the track you want to go to. A lot of G loads, a lot of banking in this, create those G loads. Absolutely no go for anybody to having trouble at this demanding racetrack.
And we're just 3 minutes into this practice session, and Denny Hamlin already has an issue.
All right, I got my first problem found. The sensor can't reach a clutch pedal. Lip of it. We got to shave down this lip underneath my leg so I could straighten it out more. I'm running out of, I got all my tippy toes trying to reach it, so I don't know if that's something we can just shave off. Everything else feels fine.
Yeah, and a lot of that comes from usually when you pour the inserts, you want your legs to, you want to try to have them extended so that if you're going to use your left leg, you push down the clutch pedal, and if you use your right leg, you pour that insert with your seat down. This sounds like a situation where his pedals weren't down when he poured his insert. Now he's gone to push the clutch pedal down, and that lip on the front of the seat is too high because he didn't leave his feet down when he poured the insert. That's what I would guess.
Yeah, it has to be. Bottom that seat lips up a little bit higher for some support, creating that.
Doesn't have those 18-way adjustable sports seats like in your 911 truck.
No, absolutely. How many ways?
18.
I'll tell you which way's fast. It's William Byron's way. This 24 car, 23.39. This is race trim speed he's falling off to, but that takeoff speed, Kevin, 22.64. That's getting it done.
Yeah, sometimes that can be a little bit tricky. Racetrack is clean, concrete surface here. When it's clean, it's going to have some speed this morning. It's not going to lay a lot of rubber, I would say, because of the temperature. I'd say we'll see a lot of rubber on the racetrack tomorrow, and because these Goodyear tires will want to lay more rubber. But when this racetrack is clean, it has a lot of grip, especially for somebody like William that's confident in his car and not bottoming out, and how to drive the car fast right off the bat.
As you see William going around this racetrack, remember this is a diffuser that you see on an intermediate style racetrack, a 1.5 mile style, not a Bristol, not the short tracks. Actually, Bristol, we ran this same package, so doesn't surprise me a bit. Who do we see at the top of the sheet? Back to Hendrick Motorsports, William Byron. Larry, what do you got?
Yeah, just talking about this weather, it's going to be significantly different tomorrow, and that's kind of the challenge. I know it's the same for everybody. Right now, it's in the high 50s, maybe a high of 60 today. Tomorrow's supposed to be in the high 70s, and this surface is so temperature sensitive. If you remember this race last year, the sun would come out, all of a sudden everybody would be loose. The sun would go in, the clouds would come out, everybody would be tight. So that's going to be a challenge to dial your car in for tomorrow with the weather they've got this morning.
Better have some adjustability put into it. That's what you're saying.
Well, the other thing is you have to get in a rhythm today, right? From a driver's standpoint, this is a rhythm racetrack. Get used to using that throttle through the center of the corner and lifting at the 3/4 mark, all the bumps and everything. Really, it's for the driver getting into a rhythm, and you got to qualify good. So you got to have a good practice session and be comfortable when you go out to lay it on the line for qualifying.
Carson Hocevar, second fastest on the best consecutive 10-lap average. Second to William Byron, that is. And ahead of Josh Berry. 13 minutes to go in Group A practice on a chilly morning in Dover.
Yeah, temperature in the 50s right now for practice. Overcast, fairly windy at the Dover Motor Speedway. The 18 drivers who have taken the racetrack for Group A's practice session for the NASCAR Cup Series this morning is William Byron. And I'll go in the exact order in which they are running right now as well. So William Byron, who is at the top of the charts. Ross Chastain, second. A.J. Allmendinger, third. Chris Buescher, fourth. Denny Hamlin, fifth. Kyle Busch, sixth. Josh Berry, seventh. Brad Keselowski, eighth. Bubba Wallace, ninth. Ryan Preece, 10th. Carson Hocevar, 11th. Todd Gilliland, 12th. John Hunter Nemechek, 13th. Corey Hyman, 14th. Justin Haley, 15th. Noah Gragson, 16th. Daniel Hemrick, 17th. And Harrison Burton is 18th. So again, those are the 18 drivers that are on the racetrack and the order that they are in from their fastest laps so far in practice. A lot of these fast laps have been ran right around lap 2 for the majority of them. Some drivers, like the two Legacy Motor Club cars, ran their fastest laps on lap 3 and 4 as they are outside the top 10 on the speed charts, at least for right now. We'll get to see those Group B drivers mix in with the Group A lap times once those drivers hit the racetrack for their 20-minute session. You can see the time at the top of the screen. Again, 20 minutes for each group. We're at 8 minutes, 23 seconds right now as of William Byron's last lap ran. And both Byron and Gragson, the only two drivers who have not come onto pit road to make a stop, as well as Carson Hocevar and Josh Berry. Corey Heim might be out there for his long session as well, but quite a few drivers have only ran about 5, 6, 7 laps, pulled into the pits, tried to make adjustments. Very few drivers looking to maybe take this full 20-minute session as long as they possibly can, get one long run like we would usually see on most tracks with this style of practice that we've seen with the next-gen era. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe again for more NASCAR content. Our goal is to get to 50 likes on the stream. We are at 7 in the early going. Wade Selinsky, Chris Davis, thanks for tuning in. You guys are the first in the chat down below. Appreciate it, as usual. And again, we will have live commentary of today's NASCAR Xfinity Series race coming up at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Our coverage for tomorrow's Cup races will begin at 1:30 Eastern tomorrow afternoon. Byron's fast lap was a 22.648. quite a bit of fall off in this first group, as we'll see probably more fall off in the first group than the second group, with a green racetrack at the start of the morning. With this being the first time we've seen any vehicles on track today, the Xfinity and ARCA were on track yesterday. The Xfinity races today, but they practiced and qualified yesterday afternoon for the Xfinity series, and then ARCA had their practice session as well as race yesterday. So a green racetrack to start things out. As the rubber builds up, I would imagine that the fall off on the tires won't be quite as aggressive, I guess, for the Group B drivers as what you've seen so far for Group A. Now that this track is starting to get rubbered in for the late morning hours.
Best 15 laps, Byron Hocevar, Noah Gregson. Chris Buescher talking about the bumpiness of this racetrack.
Across the bump, losing the rear. It's not harsh necessarily. It just feels like it's less controlled. It goes through. It just feels like getting a lot of travel. It's just stepping the rear out. It's slowly getting worse.
Yeah, that's really the biggest key to this racetrack is the entry to turn 3. There's 4 or 5 bumps as you go through there, Clinton. With this car, it's a lot more exaggerated than what it used to be. But as we go, and you can see the first part of the bumps right here with this camera view, as you go into the corner right here, the bumps kind of start right here. And then there's washboards in this part of the corner and a little further on beyond that camera. But as a driver, this surface is rough and reground in this section of turn 3. So you have these different surfaces, and with this surface, you feel the concrete cracks, you feel the patches, you feel the grind marks, you feel all the bumps that go with this racetrack, but you have to carry so much speed that every single lap and every single corner, it makes you feel like something happened to the car or do something different. But that's where all the cars cross the back straighter right there with the 51 car. And
watch these tires right here squat as it gets these bumps right here. Boom, boom. See that squat in a tire? Every time that does that, if it bounces and gets on that on the ride limiter on the shock, it'll bottom that car out and spin that thing out every time. They have to be careful. That's what they're managing, that gap. You want that car as low as possible, but if it hits that ride limiter and it shocks that suspension into eternity, basically no suspension at all, and it'll spin you out.
Yeah, and after you get through those bumps, this is where you wind up the racetrack or down the racetrack, because that left rear will dance around and it'll keep the car from going straight. So you'll shoot up the racetrack like some of these cars are. This is turns 3 and 4. If your car's handling good like Ross just went through there, you're low, and being able to be closer to the bottom, to hook that bottom of the corner like you used to do, and be low up off the exit of the corner, but you gas back up through the center of the corner, and you get to that 3/4 mark, you lift back out of the throttle, let the nose set, and then go right back to the throttle on the exit. But all the time is being able to be good into this corner right here into turn 3 over the bumps and stay as low as possible. But you do have the option to move up the racetrack and start diamonding the corner.
When do you take a breath?
You don't.
Right.
You do not take a breath here. This is a place that if you know it's going to be a long day, your head's going to be sore, you're going to have a headache, your back's going to be sore, your butt's going to be sore, your feet are going to be sore, because it's going to beat you up pretty good throughout the day.
Well, that's the uniqueness of this racetrack, and it's because of the banking. Just like you said, you hook that bottom, and really, even if you don't hook the bottom, you throttle through the center of the corner so much more here. And when you do that, you have to lift at that 3/4 mark, let the front end catch back up to the rear, get the thing rotated, and you throttle up off the corner in a straight manner. A lot like probably the only other track that's like that would be Darlington. Larry?
Yeah, this is a 1-mile racetrack, but as you guys know, you spend about 3/4 of the time down in those high banks, those corners. And Kevin challenged me earlier today. When you challenge, I go digging. In the corners, the driver feels a vertical load of over 2 Gs. Lateral loads, left to right, almost 3 Gs. And remember, you're in the corner for a very long time. Of course, a G, they're feeling 3 times their body weight.
Yeah, and like we said earlier in the show, this is really the place that I think you feel it as much as anywhere you go, because you go from 8-10 feet up on the straightaways to compressing down into that banking and right back into the throttle. And those vertical G's that Larry is talking about, that's what just pins you against the side of the seat, or lateral G's pins you against the side of the seat and makes for a long day on your shoulder and your head. So
800 times,
yeah, you got to do it 800 times.
Tough racetrack. 5.5 to go in Group A practice at Dover.
Full screen commercial break on Fox Sports 1. We'll blow through the top 10 in Group A practice for the NASCAR Cup Series in tomorrow's Wurth 400 at Dover. William Byron still sitting at the top with his 22.648 second lap time. Ross Chastain with a 22.756 is second. 22.777 for A.J. Allmendinger in third. Chris Buescher in fourth with a 22.778 and same lap time to the thousandth of a second for Denny Hamlin, who is in fifth. Kyle Busch is sixth, Josh Berry seventh, Brad Keselowski eighth, Bubba Wallace ninth, and Ryan Preece is 10th. Corey Heim making his Cup Series debut in the replacement for Erik Jones this weekend after Jones's crash at Talladega last week. He is on the injured list now. Had a fractured vertebrae in his lower back following that crash with roughly 30 laps to go in the race. Currently, Corey Heim is 14th of the 18 cars in practice. But again, he is making his Cup debut here this weekend, and he's also running the Xfinity Series race later today, despite being a Truck Series full-time regular. So running two series that he isn't running for points this weekend, with the Truck Series having off for the second consecutive week. So seeing the fall off as of right now for these drivers, some of which right around the 0.8 of a second to 1 second of fall off over the course of about a 15 to 18 lap green flag run. Denny Hamlin seems to not have quite as bad of a fall off on his 18th lap compared to a lot of other drivers. William Byron, who was one of the first cars on the racetrack today and obviously is the first on the leaderboard, had a couple tenths more of fall off over the course of the same amount of laps as Denny Hamlin has ran. So although Hamlin's in fifth right now, I look for him to have good long run speed. The Toyotas have won on every racetrack this season from 1 mile in length and less. That goes to the three short tracks at Richmond, Bristol, and Martinsville. Martinsville was won by William Byron, on that. But outside of that Martinsville race, the 1 mile racetracks and less have been won by the Toyotas at Bristol and Richmond. Those races were won by Denny Hamlin, of course, and even go back to Phoenix, where that race was dominated by the Ford JGR Toyotas. Christopher Bell got the win that day. Denny Hamlin also has a racetrack 1 mile or less in length a couple weeks ago, and it's not surprising that the long-run speed seems to be going in the way of the Toyotas right now, particularly Denny Hamlin. Now, Hamlin is the only Joe Gibbs Toyota on the racetrack. The other three Joe Gibbs Toyotas of Martin Truex Jr., Ty Gibbs, and Christopher Bell will be in Group B practice. Like that petty blue STP paint scheme on Erik Jones' car this weekend, Jamie Little has caught up with Matt Kenseth on pit road.
Good to see you at the racetrack. You made your first official start in Cup here at Dover, finished 6th, by the way. What do you remember about that day and making it here at all racetracks that you could start?
Yeah, that was a long time ago. I'm really here because I thought they were going to let me drive. I came in with my helmet. They looked at me like I was crazy. They said I couldn't drive, so I just grabbed the radio. But, yeah, seriously, I told Corey the pressure's on for him making his first start here, so it was a great day for me. I remember that race like it was yesterday, so it's a great racetrack. Glad to be here. I sort of wish I was driving, but glad to be here, and hopefully I help these guys out a little bit.
How's the young guy, Corey Heim, doing so far, his feedback and such?
He looks really good. Yeah, he looks really good. I think Corey's a natural. I haven't seen him race a ton, but obviously we wish Erik was in the car and hopefully back in the car soon, but I think Corey will do a good job.
Thanks, Matt.
Yep.
Now that guy right there is a racer. He has run the Tokyo, Boston, Berlin, Chicago, and New York marathons.
Yeah, when you say run, you mean run.
Yeah.
He's also run the Daytona 500.
Kind of run in with those tires right there.
Also run in the tires.
That's
here.
a run in.
I'll never forget that day. Couldn't believe it. And of all people, him.
And he's just been watching our feed and going, why, as everybody else reacts.
Well, there you go. Got to see Matt Kenseth at the racetrack this weekend. Good for any Matt Kenseth fans out there. Get to see him on TV here on the Saturday morning while live NASCAR action's going on. Less than a minute to go in Group A's practice session. Just finishing up the final laps here. Most laps in a single practice run so far is 25 laps by Daniel Hemrick, although Hemrick's still back at 17th of the 18 cars that have hit the racetrack today. And your top of the speed charts, William Byron, has only ran 17 laps still. He was the first to get the 17 laps ran. He pulled into the pits, and we've seen several drivers who have made pit stops have gone back out on the racetrack and ran longer. So we're not going to get a good gauge of how many different drivers are maybe going to have good long-run speed. But again, I think a lot of that has to do with today, much cooler temperatures, and what we'll see tomorrow, about a 20 to 25 degree difference of on-track air temp, not even track temp. The air temp itself is going to be 20 to 25 degrees warmer for tomorrow's race than what it is for today's practice session, especially in the morning hours where it is much cooler. Brad Keselowski practicing his pit road entry as practice has come to an end for Group A. Cut it pretty close to getting down to the commitment line there. It's a very difficult pit road to get on and off of, especially during green flag conditions. We have seen issues here in the past. One of the more tighter and just really overall harder pit roads to get onto, again, from green flag conditions. They were showing Matt Kenseth crashing into the tires a little bit ago. Now they're showing highlights of him winning a race. So they figured that they had only they rewritten the wrong, I guess. Rewrote the wrong. Showing the lowlights and the highlights of Matt Kenseth in his career at Dover in the Cup Series. All right, so as the 18 cars that were on the racetrack for Group A are pulling back into their pit boxes, the next 18 for Group B are about to go out here any minute. And again, William Byron was the fastest, also had the fastest 10-lap average speed of anybody in Group A. We'll get to see who will rise to the top here for Group B. I mentioned the Toyotas on the long-run speed seem to be good pace-wise. Granted, Bubba Wallace not quite as quick as Denny Hamlin out there, and there really weren't that many Toyotas on the track in Group A anyway. Those were the only two from both JGR and 2311 Racing, so we'll have the other 4 of them in this next group. The 2 Legacy Motor Club cars were also on the racetrack in Group A of Nemechek and Heim. Again, they were just outside the top 10. We'll take a look at the point standings coming into this weekend for the NASCAR Cup Series while we're waiting under this commercial break for the Group B drivers to hit the racetrack. Tyler Reddick went to victory lane last weekend at the Talladega Superspeedway, getting his first win of the year and locking himself into the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. We are 10 races officially into the regular season. The drivers who are locked into the playoffs for the Cup Series with a win would include William Byron, who still has the most wins with 3 on the season, and the Daytona 500, has a win at Martinsville and at COTA as well. Denny Hamlin's 2 wins on the short tracks of Bristol and Richmond, and everybody else in the Cup Series field that does have a win only has 1. Christopher Bell with a win at Phoenix, Daniel Suarez with a win at Atlanta, Kyle Larson with a win at Las Vegas, Chase Elliott a couple of weeks ago ended up getting his first win at Texas. Tyler Reddick, again last week, was your race winner at Talladega. So overall right now in the season, we have seen 7 different winners. That means 9 drivers can still lock themselves into the playoffs. Those drivers right now on points, Martin Truex Jr. is well on his way to looking like he should be able to get in, barring something crazy happening, which could happen because 2 years ago it happened and it kept him from making the playoffs. Ryan Blaney is 7th in the driver's standings without a win. He's the 2nd highest in points. Ty Gibbs is still up in the top 10 in points. Ross Chastain, Alex Bowman also in the top 10. Bowman actually gained 4 positions in the standings following his good points day at Talladega last week. Bubba Wallace is sitting 11th overall on the playoff grid. Chase Briscoe is 12th. And then it gets a little tighter beyond that. So Daniel Suarez, who is not in the top 16 of the driver points, again, has a win, so he is locked into the playoffs. That means the 15th driver in points is actually 16th on the playoff grid, that being Joey Logano. Logano is in a deadlock tie with Chris Buescher for that final playoff spot coming into this weekend's race at Dover. 12 points behind those two are Kyle Busch in the point standings. Austin Cindric in the 2 has made a little bit of headway over the last couple weeks. He's up to 19th in the driver's standings, and he is currently sitting about 53 points behind his teammate Joey Logano for that final spot. So you can definitely tell Talladega has shifted the point standings quite a bit. Erik Jones is 20th in the point standings, but missing this week is not going to be good for him. We don't know how long he's going to be out for, but when he does come back, he will more than likely still be playoff eligible, although with missing a certain amount of races this season, he's more than likely going to have to get a win to make the playoffs going forward, which isn't impossible because he does have a few career wins, including one back in 2022 with this 43 car. Granted, it was in the playoffs, but he has won in this car before, so we'll see if he can maybe do that to get in. Carson Hocevar then would be the next highest in the point standings behind Erik Jones, 21st overall. Some of the drivers who are just on the inside of the points, maybe looking out. Brad Keselowski is only 9 points to the good coming into this weekend. Chase Briscoe is only 11 points to the good. I mentioned Bubba Wallace, who's 11th in the driver's standings right now, would be 12th on the playoff grid. He is only 12 points ahead of the cutoff line. So still pretty tight 10 races into the season. You can definitely see that gap being built between 17th and 19th in the driver's standings. There's a giant gap there. Then obviously with Jones missing some time, that's going to create even more of a gap between 19th and 21st. But the top 16 is still pretty tight together with it being still relatively early in the season. A few races to go, and then we'll be halfway through the regular season already.
Real feel to compare for them during the week going forward, but it's tough to compare virtual to reality, but I feel like we've done a good job of getting in as close as possible, and it's helped me kind of get to speed a little faster today.
All right, good luck in qualifying.
Thank you.
Well, he did just fine. His fastest lap was within 100th of a second of his teammates, John Hunter Nemechek. And here are a couple of stars talking about Corey Heim.
I feel like that Corey Heim's really good. I feel like he's really, really strong in the truck stuff. Even when he gets in the Xfinity cars, he runs super competitive, and I don't believe like he's got, the funding and the resources that like the JGR cars have.
I think Corey Heim's doing a good job. I think he has a good approach, good mindset. He races clean, but races hard and gets the positions he needs to, but doesn't make a lot of mistakes.
Well, that says a lot coming from those guys that drive these cars and watch these races, and I think it's pretty well known that Corey Heim is a good prospect and has the potential to be successful in Cup, and is not far from being ready.
Well, I mean, he's up to the plate, right? He got his opportunity here, first shot in the Cup. You hear peers like the likes of Larson that races all over the place, Byron, all these guys. Everybody knows he's the next one up to bat. The key is putting him in the right place.
Well, and these types of moments are what introduce new drivers when those opportunities pop up of somebody's injury or something happens. And
retirement.
And here we are.
The case may be.
Yeah.
All right, Group B getting ready to run their 20-minute practice session. Later today on Fox, an NL showdown as Paul Goldschmidt leads the Cardinals against Peter.
All right, so kind of a bit of a cool-down period here in between these practice sessions. Don't usually get this much time in between practice. Usually by the time they come back from the commercial break, the Group B cars are out there, so they might have been cleaning up some debris or something of that nature, maybe fluids that was left down on the track. I'm not sure exactly, again, why we are under this break period for as long as we are, but the 20 minutes of practice for Group A all concluded relatively quick, I'd say, for the most part. No periods of caution during those 20 minutes. No sketchy moments with anybody getting ridiculously out of shape and having to make any sort of a save. And hopefully that will be the same here for Group B, and we can get all 36 cars to qualify here today without any problems there. We'll take our first ad break here of this live commentary stream for NASCAR Cup Series practice and qualifying for the Wurth 400 at Dover Motor Speedway. Patrick Shadley, Robert Perkle, also welcome into the stream. Yeah, I saw a couple of you in the chat talking about the ARCA crash yesterday with Amber Balkan. I did not watch the race, so I had no clue any of that happened. Well wishes are with her, so hopefully she is doing okay. Martin Truex Jr., hometown boy, better get it done. I think he'll definitely have a strong performance tomorrow. He's one of the ones to look out for. We'll see how he performs here in practice by way of speed. I would imagine he should be top 5 in his group if I had to guess, considering Denny Hamlin was top 5 and the only Toyota that ran in Group A. I would imagine we see more Toyotas flirting with the top of the charts here in Group B. We always see Ty Gibbs, it seems like week in and week out, either qualify well or run well in practice, kind of similar to William Byron this season. So I would imagine Gibbs could be another one that could be towards the top of the speed charts. And Christopher Bell won the only other 1 mile racetrack this season at Phoenix, granted much flatter, different surface than what this one here is at Dover. I think this track can maybe lean into more of Denny Hamlin's hands, considering Hamlin won at Bristol already this season. But I do think a Toyota goes to victory lane this season or this weekend. If I had to guess coming into practice and qualifying today, we'll see if that will change my opinion based off of how strong Byron looks, because he does look strong at least through practice. I want to see where he qualifies first, and then I'll give you guys my full in-depth predictions before the race tomorrow, starting with our pre-race coverage for the Cup Series live commentary stream.
It's a problem for so many cars to get collected here because you're going so fast, and B, there's just not a lot of places to go, especially if they crash on the straightaway like that first accident. If they crash off of turn 2 or off of turn 4 in the middle of one of these straightaways on the restart, it's going to collect a bunch of them.
Well, a big part of that is it's a self-cleaning racetrack. With that banking like that, they're going to shoot down, hit that inside wall, and when they do, more than likely they're going to bounce right back up into it. Well, let's talk to the fastest guy in Group A practice, Jamie.
Yeah, seemed like pretty smooth sailing for William Byron, fastest on the board there, but I know you guys made some adjustments. Yeah. What did you need, and what were you guys working on there?
Yeah, really just trying to understand pit road entry, and how much I can push that and how much I can get in the box and all those things. So always good to check those boxes. But yeah, our car, feels good. It's a morning practice here at Dover. Track temp's really low. There's no rubber on the racetrack, so obviously you're going to see some tire wear. And all that stuff will get better, hopefully, in the race and be fine. So just trying to understand what our balance is, compared to sim. We all spend all week. These guys spend all week on sim trying to figure out what the car is going to do, and then you show up here, and it might be a little bit different. So I think we're in a reasonable place, and just trying to understand, kind of the contribution of load here and what it does to the car. And the pace is really high right now, so I feel like that's a lot of reason for some of your issues balance-wise. But excited for the race. It's an important race for me. All my family's here. All my dad's side of the family, they grew up in Maryland, so they always come to this race every year, and it's exciting, and hopefully get a win for them because they come every year, and usually we haven't won so far, so that would be nice.
Good to see you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You mentioned tire wear, 17 laps in practice. He pulled this off. This is the right front. You see the cording right here. Obviously, the pace will slow down tomorrow. It's going to be a lot warmer, but they're talking about that excessive tire wear in this first practice session.
Let's get some insight on that from Larry Mack.
Yeah, Mike, this is the same Goodyear tire combination we ran here a year ago, and we saw the very same thing in practice last year. But to Jamie's point, it will get better. You've got to get to where you can split these stages in a third, run about 60 to 65 laps. But if your balance is off, Joey Logano was cording tires last year in the race faster than they can change them. Kevin, I think you corded a tire about a lap and a half before the end of stage 2. The balance has to be good to keep from cording those tires.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but that looks a lot like Bristol to me.
Yes, well, chilly day, high 50s right now, 80-degree temperatures tomorrow. We've got a brief hold here. This track has no tunnel. As you know, we're close to the Atlantic Ocean, and if you dig a tunnel, you're going to have a pond here at Dover. So they had to open the gates to let an ambulance leave the facility and now get everything buttoned back up again before they release the Group B cars.
Yeah, and to go back to Larry's point on the tires, I do think that is the wear is definitely going to get better. There's been a race here already. They had the ARCA cars here yesterday. They had the Xfinity cars practice and qualify yesterday. There'll be an Xfinity race, and a lot of times you want those cracks and those grinds to get some of that rubber put into the racetrack. But as William Byron said, that the speeds are high and today, and I think slowing the speeds down a little bit tomorrow, having some more rubber on the racetrack. The sun will be out, so drastic difference in the temperature tomorrow.
Now, while we have a second here, speaking of tires, it was announced this week that there will be an option tire for the All-Star race that you will have to start the race on. A softer tire with the rubber compound that's been used in the wet letter standard tire during the race, or the red lettered option tire for the All-Star race.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like the option name. It's a hard and a soft tire is what it is.
Okay.
Soft tires go faster and they wear out faster. Simple as that. When you put the soft tires on, we're going to the front. We put them hard ones on, probably going to be harder to stay in the front. And it's simple as that, and it's going to be so much fun because you have to have both sets on that race car.
It would be
fun to watch how that plays out in the race.
You know what would be terrible?
What?
Is if you didn't have an opinion.
I have an opinion.
That would be terrible.
Well, what's an option tire, Kevin? It's an option tire that you have to run.
I'm trying
How do
to
you
get,
put an option tire on
give
and
you a
mandate you run
compliment.
it? Say what?
Just
I read the
Kevin,
same thing you
just
did.
let it go. Hey, so
Did you hear what I said? I said an option tire that we're going to mandate you have to put on.
Has there ever been a fight in the
How
booth?
is that an option?
I feel like
mandatory option. That kind of sounds like jumbo shrimp. It's an oxymoron.
I feel like
Is
I
that
can
you?
put him in a headlock.
Is that
right
you?
now, choke him.
So you're agreeing with me?
I was trying to.
Doesn't sound like it.
Jimmy Johnson about to roll out. Here's his radio.
Yeah, man, I'm hearing a lot of cord right fronts down here, up here. It looks like about 20 laps. That's why I said we'll probably, if he runs, we'll quit at 15 and just take a look at everything. Yeah, copy.
So that's kind of in concert with what happened in Group A. Only one driver in Group A made a 20-lap run of 20 consecutive laps. That was Noah Gragson. Everybody else was in that 15 to 18-lap range.
It's so weird.
It's, hey, 11-time winner here, including his last one. If anybody can, if anything can turn a race, something around for a career, or for a new career, I guess you've got to call it for Jimmy. It's right here in Dover, Delaware. Good track for him over the years.
Jamie?
We showed Brad Keselowski's on board. So smooth. Was the car feeling as good as it looks on TV?
Yeah, it's car's really free, Jamie, but really fast. Submarines.com Ford Mustang. It's got what I think it's going to take to run well tomorrow. It takes something a little different to run well today. So you're trying to kind of work between the differences with my crew chief here, Matt McCall. So we're going to shot here, and I think we'll shot at the ball.
All right, and good news for him. His tires look really good too, Mike.
Well, we commented during the break on just how smooth his ride was into turn 3 over the bumps and everything that Brad had going on. He talked about being free. You want to have the car as free as you can stand it without being detrimental to your speed in the race, because in traffic, the car's going to tighten up. But today, like Brad said, you have to qualify well. It's so important to qualify well to have a good day here.
Going back to Bristol and that tire wear that we saw, it puts you right into what you're seeing on this concrete track today. The temperature. You're seeing all those marbles on top of the racetrack. It's just not going down in the track. It'll be very interesting to see when it's way hotter tomorrow if that's actually going down to the racetrack or just cheese grating off and laying on top of it. I promise you they're hoping of the latter.
All right, left side of your screen, drivers in Group B, of course, in white. Drivers in Group A in yellow as Ryan Blaney blasts off a heater.
Look at there, boys. Jimmy Johnson ran a good lap early in practice, which to me is always a good sign. That means you're comfortable. He did run Texas, so he's been in the car, got a little bit of, a couple races that are close to each other to have some not being out of the seat time and having to get used to the speed again. So I love these onboard cameras here because these drivers they work and get beat up so bad that TV doesn't really do it justice.
Here's Jimmy you're talking about. Hey, we said it. If there's ever a track that can get it turned back around for him, this has been his playground over the years. Already jumps right up to 5th on the board, holding a pretty wheel. This is a Jimmy Johnson that we know.
You just got to be smart about it, right? Get comfortable in the car. You know how to go fast here. Don't try to force anything. Don't have what happened in Texas and have the thing get out from underneath you. So, but like I say, I think the most important thing is he's run 2. This will be the second race out of the last 3 weeks that he's been in the car. Really liked it. The shot of that 12 car as it came up out of turn 2 right there. You see the nose pop up, and that really shows you how comes up into the banking on the straightaway from the hole out of the corner when it pops up out of turn 2. Watch this nose.
Blaney's run 7 laps, and the lap times have fallen off about 1 point, just about a second right now over his early laps. Look at Kyle Larson and Kaz Grala just ahead.
As we watch Kyle Larson, this will be the most difficult part about the day is how my car handles in traffic and who can maneuver the best. See that car bounces it. Gets to the very late part of the corner and ratchets up into that banking of the straightaway where it joins together off the corners. So interesting here. Like Clint talked, throttle up through the center of the corner all the way through that middle third of the corner. Such a different driving style than anywhere else that we go.
Larson has a pole here. It came in 2018. And he has a win here in 2019. But he's won the pole for 3 of our last 4 races. Didn't get to qualify last week because of a turn 2 car on the wall.
Zane Smith.
Hard into the wall.
On that blue tire or what, but no indication.
Car just spun and took off and climbed the hill and it hit it hard. It's only run 10 laps, Larry tells us.
Get to the flat, make sure we get anything.
Right rear's down. And the Monster gets its first of the Cup Series weekend.
You see that stripe on the tread pattern of those rears as it was going away, like we saw in that early group. That rear's still up.
So under caution for the first time today in practice, Zane Smith has gone around after getting loose in turn 2. No official indication on whether he had a tire go down or not. You heard the radio call there from Zane and his crew, wondering if maybe that could have been the reason for why his car slipped out from underneath him. The right rear was flat, but we don't know if that was the aftermath of the spin or if that happened, which caused the spin. Ryan Blaney has jumped to the top of the charts in practice. The top 2 are actually both in Group B, Ryan Blaney and Tyler Reddick. Byron, who was fastest in Group A, is still 3rd overall. And the rest of the top 5, Chase Briscoe, Jimmy Johnson, also in Group B. So a lot faster out of the gate here for these Group B drivers. And a lot of that has to probably do with there being rubber on the racetrack at the start of their run compared to a clean racetrack at the beginning of Group A, with the Xfinity Series already practicing yesterday, as well as qualifying along with the ARCA Series action yesterday, and no on-track activity yet this morning before the Cup cars hit the track for the first time about a little less than an hour ago from now. Your top 5 currently, we'll just go through the top 10 actually as of right now in practice. Ryan Blaney again is your fastest. His lap time is of 22.575 to get to the top of the speed charts. Tyler Reddick is 2nd. William Byron 3rd. Chase Briscoe 4th. Jimmy Johnson in 5th. Great to see JJ up at the top of the charts right now. Michael McDowell is in 6th. Ross Chastain 7th. Chase Elliott 8th. AJ Allmendinger 9th. And Chris Buescher rounds out the top 10. I believe Buescher was 4th overall in Group A. And he's 10th. I should say he's 10th overall right now, and he was 4th in Group A. Hamlin was 5th. So kind of a mix of drivers from Group A, Group B in the top 10, but in the top 5, 4 of those 5 are again Group B drivers. So mentioned the Toyotas, at least the one looked quick of Denny Hamlin in Group A, and then you got 2 non-GGR Toyotas in the top 5 right now for Group B. At Legacy Motor Club, again, Jimmy Johnson in 5th, and then Tyler Reddick 2nd with the 2311 Toyota up there. So the others, though, Ty Gibbs, Bubba Wallace, Christopher Bell, outside the top 15, and even Martin Truex Jr. all the way back in 25th in practice here to start things off. Zane Smith is 24th, and I mentioned that because that is the driver who just brought out this first caution for incident of the day. Again, Zane Smith had crashed in turn 2, so that has put us under caution under this practice session. And we still had about 13 or so minutes left to practice at the time of the incident, so the time is frozen for now. I'll have to wait to get an official word on whether they will reset the clock or if the clock will still be running based on the amount of time that we had of a break period between the two sessions to get an ambulance off the racetrack, I guess, from the garage area, pit road. They had to open up the wall because there's no tunnel at Dover. So that is the reason for why there was a lengthy period of time in between Group A's practice session and Group B's practice session. So we are going to take a quick ad break and then continue our live commentary coverage on the other side. You're listening to the Wurth 400 practice and qualifying session here on KRC. "400 laps around this place is a hard day's work." Yes, it is. Mental stress, and I'm sure there's some physical stress in there as well. Times on the leaderboard are tight. Yeah, I noticed that too. Group B, or Group A, I should say specifically, the top 8 in that group are only separated by about 0.2 of a second.
That's what the case was.
Yeah, regardless,
Bad deal, right?
Bad situation.
Best finish of the season 2 weeks ago at Texas and at Talladega, where 6 drivers got their best top 10 finish of the year. 33 different drivers have scored a top 10. Most since 2013.
Doesn't surprise me about Talladega. Always opportunities, show up at a track like Talladega. We covered that going into that race. This is an opportune track. Look at Ford. Yet to win, and coming off of turn 4, it was theirs to lose, and unfortunately that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, and we saw a lot of cars get through that wreck. A lot of cars didn't get through that wreck. It definitely mixed the finishing order up, but that is pretty typical Talladega for sure.
All right, cleanup continues from Zane Smith's issue in turn number 2.
All right, so still under caution. Again, lengthy cleanup in turn 2. Pretty hard impact to the rear end of the race car for Zane Smith in this Group B practice session. Again, Smith 24th overall. Definitely going to be going to a backup car, no doubt about that. There was quite a bit of damage on that race car. Honestly, I haven't seen the back end of a next-gen car crunch as much as that one did, to be completely honest with you. That tells you the amount of damage that Zane Smith had suffered at the hands of the Dover Monster in turn 2. Kenneth Clark, thanks for tuning into the stream as well. Be sure to hit the like button again if you guys have not done so yet. 22 likes on the stream so far. Our goal is to get to 50 on this morning practice and qualifying live commentary stream. Once again, the NASCAR Xfinity Series action will begin at 1:30 Eastern Time today at Dover. So again, 1:30 Eastern, we will have live commentary coverage for Dover for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Same start time for tomorrow for the NASCAR Cup Series live commentary stream as well. Again, Cup Series action tomorrow at 1:30 Eastern Time. Xfinity Series today at 1:30 Eastern Time. Pretty easy here for this weekend. Some earlier start times. I think this is going to be the earliest start time to a Cup race this year out of the East Coast, of course. In practice, still under a commercial break, but as you see on our leaderboard, the green flag is displayed once again. And again, Ryan Blaney is at the top of the charts in practice with a 22.575, and he is in the second group of cars. 37 cars entered for this weekend's race. The only non-chartered entry is Jimmy Johnson for Legacy Motor Club. This will be his third start of the season. His others at Texas Motor Speedway 2 weeks ago, and also in the Daytona 500, where he had to qualify his way into the race. He was able to do so successfully through the duels on that Thursday night before the 500. So third start of the year for Jimmy Johnson, and he'll have a few more yet before the end of the season as well. And Johnson, again, 5th overall in practice right now. Second highest Toyota on the leaderboard. And the 4th in this group of cars that is currently on the racetrack. Your top 10 right now, Ryan Blaney out in P1, Tyler Reddick 2nd, William Byron 3rd, Chase Briscoe 4th, Jimmy Johnson 5th, Michael McDowell 6th, Ross Chastain 7th, Chase Elliott 8th, AJ Allmendinger 9th, and Chris Buescher rounds out the top 10. So we still have about half of a practice session remaining of the two groups so far. About 10 minutes, give or take, to go before we get into qualifying. And again, that is all on this stream. You won't have to go anywhere. And it is all on Fox Sports 1 if you're wondering for visual purposes where you can watch this practice, a qualifying session at Dover.
In Group A, only one driver ran 20 consecutive laps in Group A. He's with Jamie.
Now we know it's Racing who won to win his best finish a third in Talladega. He had 20 consecutive laps. How was the car and any concerns with the anywhere?
Yeah, it took me a little bit to get up to speed there. Worried about the roughness of the bumps. Like they're pretty strong, at least for me last year, but that car drove really good out there. Was the biggest race. We stayed on the racetrack. We didn't pay for any adjustments. So 21 laps on tires, 40 on the regular tires. There's a lot of marbles up there on the top lane through the corner, down the straightaway. So that's kind of similar to how Bristol was a little bit. I don't know what it's going to be like tomorrow. I feel like our car was really good on the long run. Just took a little bit for me to get up to pace, but we'll see here in qualifying. I haven't got a ramp on it. I feel comfortable in the second half.
Thanks, Jamie. Chase Briscoe, third fastest in Group B with a lap of 23.71 to Ryan Blaney's, with his fast lap of 22.71 to Blaney's 22.57.
This shot right here I like. It really allows you to see the speed and the way that the nose pops up right here. I'll show you with the telestrator right here. Right when they come across this bump, you see the nose pop up on the car, and that really gives you a good idea of how it just pops up out of the corner up onto that straightaway that's about 8 feet higher than the center of the corner. But saw Chase Briscoe's car do it a lot.
Well, you have to be careful. Don't get too high, because if you do, it hits that bump you say, pops that up, picks up an arrow push, you'll get yourself into the wall. Very easy to do, especially off the tube.
And in qualifying, it becomes really easy to do because you have to commit to the throttle, which is what these guys are preparing for the most, is today's qualifying session after these practices. You want to get into a rhythm and do all these things, but really everything with the car and the setup and the pace is going to be decided tonight with the drivers, crew chiefs, engineers, because it's going to be a lot different tomorrow being so much hotter.
Now note the bottom of the outside wall right there. Drivers asked the track to paint a black stripe at the bottom of the wall because on a bright sunny day, it's hard to tell that white concrete from the white of the wall and know where the limit is.
Well, it just gives you a lot better reference to have that stripe on the bottom of the wall to break up the bottom of the fence and the concrete on the racetrack. So that line is definitely there for reference for the drivers.
Because it's coming at you at a high rate. You are covering some ground pretty quick at this place. And that thing takes off in a push, you are in trouble.
And you know from driving this racetrack, Clint, as you run this race, it feels like it gets shorter. That your belts, you just kind of sink into the seat as the day goes, and you know.
Not kinda, you do.
Yeah, your head bounces off the headrest, especially in these cars, a whole bunch of times throughout the day. Your eyes are dry because your eyes are wide open all day from holding them open and not blinking, and it's just rough because of all the cracks and the bouncing and everything that happens with the racetrack and as far as the ride quality. So it's a tough day for the drivers.
Saw Jimmy riding along with him. He's just back out on the racetrack, and I'm telling you, he's out here readjusting, got an adjustment because he almost turned that thing around getting into 3. Shot way up the racetrack, got in the marbles.
Now, Ryan Blaney here. Drivers are also practicing their entrance to pit road.
That's not going to work.
No, that'd be a penalty.
This is the time to practice it, though. That's why they call it practice.
This is last year. See Harrison Burton this pit road is really narrow. We see a lot of, we've seen a lot of that this year, just mistakes in general from the teams because the pit stops are so fast. But
So is it removing a tire from your pit stall if it rolls right back to the tire stack behind the wall and before anybody touches it?
that was unique. I've never seen that actually happen before. But you look how narrow this pit road is and how hard it is to get onto pit road right here. You really want to brake about the bridge, Clint, and then you're going to downshift a few times down to second gear. And
you want to stay on the racetrack as long as possible.
Have to stay on the racetrack.
That asphalt is very slick down there. Stay on the concrete as long as possible. Right at the last minute, dip back and get down on there. I mean, obviously, here's the reference points: 3, 2, 1. Those are reference points as far as braking.
And you'll brake right over here at this sign. That's the bridge right there. Is where the braking point is with this car. And you'll, like Clint said, you'll stay on the racetrack and you get onto pit road here. It is very, very slow compared to most pit road speeds with the way that everything works out at this racetrack. It's a slow speed, so you're lugging the motor really easy to speed because if you touch the throttle, it lunges forward with how low the RPM is. So it's a very difficult pit road speed to navigate because of where it is in the RPM range. Very difficult to get onto pit road at a high rate of speed under green.
And don't forget, if it's a green flag stop, that means your tires are wore out, your brakes are hot, everything's very, very used up right at that point. So,
and with the way that the tire wear is, Clint, like I feel like you're gonna have a hard stop because of nobody wants to blow a tire. At Bristol, they would run the tires on the course because the speeds got so slow and not worried about spinning out. Or
the point is everything's wore out. Yeah. You have to if those marker points and your spot, your lifting zones, and your braking, you better back it up again to be safe, especially that first time. Better to be safe than sorry, especially here.
Chase Elliott, third fastest individual lap in this Group B. He is sixth on the sixth overall on the best consecutive 10-lap chart.
A lot of rubber on that outside of the racetrack. That needs to get down in that racetrack and start filling these cracks and grooves that you spoke of, Kevin. If not, this is pretty reminiscent of what we saw at Bristol so far. Temperature, I think, should play a lot of role in that.
This really gives you a great indication of when they are coming down the front straightaway and as they just roll off into turn one down into the corner, really gives you a good view of how far down the hill you have to go once you turn in off the straightaway down into the corner. But you see this little piece right here. It's a nice little ridge. It's like a hill that you go over. And for me, I always wanted to be able to drive past the hill or let off before the hill. I don't know about what your theory was, Clint.
Before it.
Yeah.
Almost throttle back down the hill at times.
Yeah, and the unique part about this next-gen car, you make a lot of speed here by the speed that you carry into the corner. It's almost okay to overdrive the corners with this particular car because a little bit more drag, a little slower down the straightaway than what the old cars used to be. And in qualifying, these guys will drive in and probably push up the racetrack, but the speed will be made by how far you can go in the corner and get that car rotated first.
Mike McDowell coming into the pits for adjustment. Lap or so ago, Jimmy Johnson gets loose here.
Oh, you see his hands moving.
You can see his hands moving. I think that's in turn 3. That's what I saw earlier. But more importantly, see how he shot up the racetrack and starts getting in all these marbles. Look at the marbles flying from behind that car. That's what'll get you in trouble.
Yeah, and as the tires start to wear on these cars, we've seen a lot of the right side tires, mostly right front, but as it goes through those bumps into turn 3 and you start to turn back in and throttle up, it just starts to lose more and more grip, and you actually think something's wrong, but that's just the way the tires wear out. Let's hear Jimmy's radio.
Man, these marbles are so effective or so impactful on the way this tire behaves, man. You just touch the marbles, it's over.
That's what I was talking about. A lot of marbles. Takes me back to Bristol and what we saw there. Going to be a A big factor in tomorrow's race if something doesn't change, and obviously we're all looking for the temperature to change that. Larry?
Yeah, Clint, I have not sat on a pit box in over 20 years, but there's a reason that I'm follically challenged today, and it's because of what these crew chiefs are dealing with right now. So we've had no rule changes at Dover from last year. This is the same Goodyear tire combination that we ran last year. Going back to last year's race, the race itself, it was 59 degrees and cloudy, which basically is the same conditions right now, and the track rubbered in that day. So I don't know. I guarantee you there's going to be a lot of sleepless nights tonight by these crew chiefs because it is a little bit fickle right now. But to the point you guys keep making, 15 to 20 degrees warmer and sunny tomorrow.
Well, and I think there's another layer to add to this. And Larry, you can walk us down this. All right. How do you set your car up for speeds? We talk about the heights. The heights are so important in the grip level in your race car. If this thing's going to be slower, that's something that goes into the equation of the decision making, right?
No question, no question. In fact, Chad Knaus and Jimmy Johnson used to be notorious at this place for not running that fast in practice. They tried to maintain what they thought would be a race pace in practice to get their heights right.
That platform in which these cars ride is just so crucial to the overall performance of the car. It cannot be, expressed enough.
Well, even last year, I mean, you had a definite...
Whoa! See how loose he was in the corner?
Yeah, he's
still loose.
Well, I think,
trying to clean the marbles up now, right?
Yeah, I think he's trying to figure out how to get the tires clean.
Well, now look at the drivers listed in white on the pylon on the left of your screen. That's Group B. And just the way things sorted out after Talladega with the NASCAR scoring metric that sorts the drivers into Group A and B, it's odd, even, all the way down. But it looks like it's going to be a lot harder to get to round 2 in Group B than the drivers who have to battle in Group A. It's just the way that metric sorts out. A lot of competition in Group B.
There's Traxxas coming on the pit road.
Ooh.
Got one around here.
Oh,
Grala has wrecked the front end of his car. Coming off turn
destroyed.
number 4 and comes to rest just past the start-finish line.
Got loose up off the corner.
Overcorrect.
That's hard. That is a huge hit, Kevin.
Yeah, and that's just one of those things you learn.
All right, so he is communicating to his team on the radio, but that was a violent hit.
It sure was. Wow. I saw a lot of wheel in the car in the middle of the corner. Looked like it then started to catch up, got loose, and man, what a massive overcorrection.
You saw the flames come out of the pipe. He dumped the throttle right there, and when you're in that scenario, you got to try to walk it off the corner, but when he dumped the throttle and he put all that wheel to the right, as soon as it slowed down enough and
front tires finally caught up.
Yeah.
Wow. He hit extremely hard.
He said on the radio, that was super unexpected. I was going to bring it to you that lap. Wow.
Well, that's what happens. That's what happens when these tires start to wear like that, Mike. And we talked about it at the beginning. These cars just get to a point where they start to feel funny and things start to happen different. And I think that was one of these scenarios right here. Let's hear the radio.
Be all right. Yeah, that was super unexpected. I was going to bring it to you that lap.
Well, those are the kinds of things that we talk about. In a scenario where you're not in it every week or all the time and have the experiences of things that happen. I know Kaz is in there, but this is just one of those scenarios where it starts to slide. Watch the flames come out of see the flames come out of the pipe. It's just you got to start walking that thing a little before that, because these cars, once you get the wheel too far to the right, they're hard to save. They're hard to save in general. When you get the wheel way to the right like that, you got to start turning it back to the left, or it's going to do that all the time.
Oh my goodness. Now, Grala had run 27 laps. That's more than anyone else in this group. We're not sure if it was all on that same set of tires.
Yeah. And like I say, Clint, this is something that happens in the simulator all the time. These things will slide, and when you make that big correction, they snap like that and hook like that back to the right. So like, in the simulator, this happens all the time, and you just have to turn to the left and just say, I'm spinning out this way. There's no reason in trying to save it because they result in this snap hook all the time.
Larry confirms that was all on one set of tires, 27 laps.
Yeah.
Look at the safer barrier, absorb that impact. Glad to see the Dr. James Sicking, the inventor of the safer barrier, is one of the nominees for the NASCAR Landmark Award.
Thank you.
NASCAR
Can't
Hall of
say
Fame.
it enough.
Known for following.
Massive impact into the outside wall in turn 4 to end practice today for Kaz Grala in the 15 car, an overcorrection after his car had initially broke loose and then snapped back to the right, a head-on impact, then sliding down the banking of the front stretch to the inside wall where he slightly tagged the left rear. So 2 crashes in Group B's practice session, which has delayed things a little bit. We will get into qualifying as that was right as time was expiring for practice overall. Ryan Blaney ended up at the top of the charts. Our leaderboard has already flipped to the qualifying lineup, so I am not going to be able to go in the order of which practice ended up shaping out to be. I do think I remember the top 5, though. I think Ryan Blaney was first, Tyler Reddick was second, William Byron was third, and he was first overall in Group A. Fourth was Chase Briscoe, and Jimmy Johnson was fifth. And then the first, second, fourth, and fifth place drivers were all in Group B. Byron was the only Group A driver to be in the top 5 overall. So that is the practice session, at least for the top of the charts there. Again, Ryan Blaney was the fastest overall. The 2 cars that crashed, middle of the practice session in turn 2 was Zane Smith, turn 4 for Kaz Grala, both going to backup cars this weekend. And glad to see both of them out of the car under their own power, especially Kaz Grala, who took a huge hit into the outside wall. We saw Erik Jones last week at Talladega take a head-on hit into the middle of turns 3 and 4, and he is not here at the track this weekend, at least in the car. He's at the track, but unfortunately not racing this weekend with the hairline fracture and a vertebrae in his lower back. So hopefully Kaz is okay. He gets checked, released from the infield care center without any issues, and we see him back in the car for tomorrow. Not that car, apparently, but it will be a new car, a backup car for him when he does return to the track tomorrow afternoon. AJ Allmendinger will be the first driver to qualify for today. We'll go through the first 9 to hit the racetrack for Group A, qualifying 18 drivers in this group. The top 5 from each Group A and Group B will re-qualify for the top 10, and then positions 6 through 18 and 6 through 19 in the respective groups will determine the outside row for Group A for tomorrow's race, and then Group B will determine the inside row, again, positions 6 through 19 in their groups, but the top 5 will re-qualify as one in a second session to see who will get the pole, and then every position 1 through 10 will be sorted then. AJ Allmendinger will be the first again to qualify. Justin Haley will be after AJ, then Corey Heim, John Hunter Nemechek, Denny Hamlin, Bubba Wallace, Kyle Busch, Harrison Burton, and Josh Berry. Those will be the first 9 drivers to qualify here at Dover. Yeah, Miles the Monster, he's just chewing up and spinning out race cars here today at Dover. Massive crashes here this weekend already. Another tire problem. This will become greatest race of all time due to tire failures. I don't know.
You see the impact of that car, and as we slow it down in slow motion, you see everything that happens. But
Corey Berg,
in the car,
Silent Al Scribe.
In this next-gen car, you feel the wreck in a much different way than you
NASCAR
did with the
2311
old car.
Cup Series racing. Thanks for tuning in.
Way faster than what it used to, but that is a massive hit.
I can't believe the wall, the movement in that wall, and it just shows how much energy was absorbed through that wall. Look at the foam. You can see actually give and start to deteriorate. I mean, look at clear back inside the wall, the energy that happened right there.
Yeah, that foam has about a 6-year lifespan, and has to be replaced every once in a while. I think there's probably about 6,000 pieces around this racetrack.
Well, you can see they're all stacked together. Boom, 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 boom. Just a bunch of pieces of foam stacked together there. Man, that was...
And the way that's all designed and engineered, it's really pretty amazing. It's a multi-piece steel barrier backed up by those specially designed and shaped pieces of foam, and then with a steel backing there. Here's a look at the detail inside the safer barrier.
You can see that's a brand new piece.
Yep. Also, that cars can hit that and the wall will deform. And there's a couple of important things here. Not only does the wall need to give to absorb impact, it needs to not rebound to shoot that car back into traffic.
Yeah, well, it's very unique, right? So for our cars that weigh, around 3,600 pounds with these Gen 7 vehicles, let's just say you had an IndyCar race. Well, they'd go in and take a certain amount of pieces of foam out of that wall because the IndyCar is so much lighter. So what a difference in safety. I've hit concrete walls, I've hit safer barrier walls, and there is not one safer barrier wall that ever felt like a concrete wall. Just what a great design and innovation that we had in safety right there to be able to advance the safety in the walls and hit something that was way softer than concrete.
I remember coming to this racetrack when they put them in and having to adjust your line. Your focal point, your energy, everything that you had learned about your marks was 3 feet farther out, especially on the exit of 2, exit of 4, where he hit right there. And when you take that racetrack away, it made you adjust where you were, moving the car, where you lifted, where you got back on the gas at that 5/8 to 3/4 mark. That was a big adjustment, but boy, is it worth it.
I'm glad
I'll take it every day, twice on Sunday.
So practice will end with Ryan Blaney fastest in Group B. Noah Gregson, the one driver on the 20-lap average mark, 20 consecutive laps. William Byron fastest in Group A. Each group competing only against itself to put its 5 fastest drivers into the final round. And, of course, set the rest of the field. Let's repeat that Kaz Grala walked away from that crash and is with Jamie.
Yes, and he just left the infield care center. So happy to see that you're okay, Kaz, after that. But just take us back to that moment when it stepped out and what you saw and felt from there on.
Yeah, I mean, that was so quick. I didn't even feel like I had any time to react to it. Definitely unexpected. We'd been a little bit free through practice, but our race pace was actually really good. I thought that was maybe our best car of the year, and it was just gone out from under me before I could try to save it. So, yeah, definitely really disappointed. Really unfortunate for our team. We're obviously not in a good position for backup cars, so we'll have to see what we have to work with for tomorrow. But far from an ideal situation, but I'm just glad I'm all right, and we'll do what we can for tomorrow.
Thanks for your time, Cass.
Thanks.
Yeah, very tough break there for Rick Ware Racing.
Yeah, and it can be super confusing, for guys that hadn't been able to be a part of this process with the Gen 7 car since it started, to be able to go through all these scenarios of when the car is just beyond saving, like that one was, and to get the wheel out of the car and start steering it back to the left so that it doesn't snap up the racetrack. So it's definitely a tough situation for Kaz and his team, and that's a massive hit, and we're just glad he's okay.
So we will begin qualifying with Group A, and according to the metric of...
All right, so AJ Allmendinger on the racetrack as qualifying begins for tomorrow's Wurth 400. Again, the top 5 from this group will move on and re-qualify for a shot at the pole in round number 2. A lot of cording of the tires through practice, just as we saw in the last concrete oval at the Bristol Motor Speedway earlier this season, similar with cooler track temps and not a lot of rubber being laid down on the racetrack, but again, warmer temperatures tomorrow in the mid to upper 70s at the Dover Motor Speedway tomorrow afternoon. So maybe we'll see the tire cording again, maybe we won't. If we do, then something is definitely different, you would have to think, with the tire compound on the concrete ovals this year from Goodyear than what they were last year, even though it has been stated that they are not the different tires, or that they are not different tires and they are the same as what they have had in years past with this next-gen car. Allmendinger completing his first qualifying lap, 22.250 for him. Justin Haley is now on the racetrack for Rick Ware Racing. Both the cars that crashed were in Group B's session, so all 18 cars that you see on our list of drivers to qualify for Group A will qualify, and then we'll have 17 cars in Group B to qualify instead of the original 19. Again, 9 drivers or so will go here, and then we'll have a commercial break, and then we'll have the next 9, and do it all over again for Group B after the fact. AJ Allmendinger will remain at the top of the leaderboard, pulling double duty this weekend, Xfinity Series regular in that 16 car for Colleague Racing. Again, a lot of drivers running part-time for that 16 car, even though it is a full-time car by way of owner's points. 22.747 for Haley. He's going to try to run a second lap. Because this is a 1 mile racetrack or less in length, you can get the option to run 2 laps. Allmendinger just ran the 1, but Justin Haley is going to try to run 2. And he will drop off quite significantly from lap 1 to lap 2. And so lap 1 was still his quickest. 22.747 for Haley on that first lap. Corey Heim is up next, again making his Cup debut this weekend. 6 career truck wins for Heim. Gets that Petty Blue STP scheme on the car this weekend in his debut. Erik Jones watching from the infield as we await the return of him, hopefully sooner rather than later, to the NASCAR Cup Series schedule. Second for Heim, 22.595. He's going to try to run 1 more lap. Haley was not able to pick up from lap 1 to lap 2. We'll see if Corey can. About 3/10 off of where Allmendinger's fast lap was. And on lap 2, Corey Heim was a little less than a tenth slower than his first lap. So again, a little bit of a drop-off from lap 1 to lap 2. And I'm curious to see how many drivers are actually going to try to take 2 laps. And if we'll see anybody pick up, I feel like you'd have to make a major mistake on lap 1 to have a significant pickup from lap 1 to lap 2. So we've seen that at Phoenix on the other 1 mile racetrack. You get to the shorter racetracks like a Bristol or Martinsville, and it becomes more likely that you can run a better lap on lap 2 than lap 1, but slightly bigger ovals doesn't seem to be the case. Nemechek just behind his teammate Heim, 22.609 for John Hunter. And he is also going to try to take a second lap around this Dover Motor Speedway. So he works his way into turns 3 and 4. Comes up off the bottom groove just a little bit in the middle of the corner. It seemed like he broke a bit loose off turn 4 and lost a lot of time there also. 0.03 of a second slower for Nemechek. That slight bobble off turn 4 might have got him. Another Toyota on the racetrack, Denny Hamlin. Now, the qualifying order is not random draw. The decision to put a driver in Group A or Group B, that is random draw. But once they're in their groups and qualifying begins, it's a metric system based off of where you're at owner's points, driver's points, and where you finished the most recent race is the reason for the order here. So Denny Hamlin will be the 5th car to roll out on the track for qualifying today. And he'll move to the top of the charts of these 5, 22.174 in his first lap. And he is going to try to run a second, see if he can top what he did on lap 1. A little loose in the middle of 3 and 4, very similar to John Hunter Nemechek, and that's probably going to cost him. He'll back it down, and he won't even complete this second lap at full pace. That hiccup is probably going to cost him in lap time. Didn't want to risk wrecking the race car. Seen that from a couple of drivers already today, and these guys are definitely trying to push the limits a lot harder here in qualifying than what they were in practice a little bit ago. Bubba Wallace is now on the track again, another Toyota. Quite a few of them finishing at the back of the field. Last week has messed up the metric system a little bit for them, so you're going to see quite a few of them qualifying early in the run. Not for some of those Group B drivers who did have good finishes at Dega last week, including Tyler Reddick, who got the win. Wallace's car is wiggling all over the racetrack. 1 and 2, he seemed a little free. 3 and 4 seemed a little free. Loses fast if he can hang on to it. Hangs on for a 22.341 on his first lap. Wallace will run a second. Looks a lot smoother through turns 1 and 2 on his second lap, so he might have a pickup here. He was just outside the top 10 overall in practice. And a lot smoother through 3 and 4 on the second lap as well. His lap time was quicker. He did pick up, but it's not going to be enough to move him up on the leaderboard. But he did pick up 22.325. That could be a position or two as we get more cars to qualify. So he's the first driver of the 6 that have qualified that have actually picked up on their second lap. And the only one, again, that didn't run a second lap was A.J. Allmendinger. And Hamlin went to run a second, got a little loose in 3 and 4, backed it down, didn't really complete his second lap. At speed, at least. Kyle Busch breaks into the top 5, up to third fastest, 22.276, slides in right in front of Walls, who just qualified. And Kyle Busch is going to back it down, and he's just going to run the one lap. Saves a little bit on his tires if he goes again. Jamie Little standing with fastest in practice, Ryan Blaney.
Well, we're running 20, call it mid-22 second laps, and you're holding your breath for the whole time. Then you take one breath, and then you hold it again for another 22 seconds. But no, it's just a wild racetrack. I mean, I think it's like speed-wise, might not be our fastest mile per hour track, but it feels like you're going 300 miles an hour through the corners. Just so much happening, and everything happens so quickly. And when the grip level's high like this, it makes it even more. So just a fun racetrack. But yeah, the Wurth Ford Mustang was really good practice, I thought. It's always one of those weird things of, okay, where's the track going to go? You know, for the race, it rubbers up, and it'll be way different than practice and qualifying. So it's how do you hit it right? But big weekend for us, obviously. Wurth sponsoring the race, them being on our car, great partner for us. So I'm happy we have a fast car. Hopefully we can keep it that way, and hopefully we can lay down a good lap here in qualifying.
Ryan Blaney trying to get his first pole here at Dover, and he'll be up in the Xfinity booth coming up here after us.
Oh, great. Thanks, Jamie.
Harrison Burton now on the racetrack. And Burton timed in 5th on his first lap with a 22.487. His second lap is going to be a little slower than that by a few hundredths. So Burton remains in 5th. And again, only the top 5 advance to the next round. Josh Berry, the 9th driver to qualify for Group A, is on the racetrack beginning his first lap in the overstock Ford Mustang. Berry rolls up off of turn 2. Into 3 and 4. Trying to keep a steady wheel. He's had some good runs in the Xfinity Series at Dover in his Cup career. And I do believe he had a top 10 here last season, if I'm not mistaken, with Hendrick Motorsports. He's ran very good on the shorter racetracks this season. Completed his first lap, and he's going to try to set a quicker lap on lap 2. That first lap was a 22.288 for Berry. Looked smooth through 1 and 2. 3 and 4 looks to be pushing a little on the tight side of things. Works his way up off the exit of the corner. And he does not pick up. He lost a couple tenths, in fact, from lap 1 to lap 2. So Denny Hamlin at the top of the speed charts here in qualifying so far through the first 9, 22.174 and an average speed of 162.352 miles per hour. Lap times are a lot quicker here in qualifying than what we had just seen in practice for some of the faster laps there. Just to put into perspective, Ryan Blaney's fast lap in practice would be 7th in qualifying right now, and he was in that second group of cars. So the track is getting faster. Drivers are pushing more, I'd say, in qualifying than what they were in practice, as they trying to go for broke here and get themselves the best starting spot possible for tomorrow's race. So your Fast 5 right now, again, Denny Hamlin on the top, A.J. Allmendinger 2nd, Kyle Busch 3rd, Josh Berry 4th, Bubba Wallace is 5th. And the final 9 to qualify in Group A will be Chris Buescher, followed by Carson Hocevar, then Ryan Preece. After him will be Daniel Hemrick, Todd Gilliland, Noah Gragson, Ross Chastain, William Byron, and Brad Keselowski. Keselowski rounding out the Group A qualifiers. We'll take an ad break, continue our live commentary coverage of Wurth 400 qualifying at the Dover Motor Speedway. You're listening live on KRC. Will there be a 21-second lap? I think there can be, honestly. I think the potential is there. We saw faster drivers in Group B than Group A also. I think Group B, if we don't see it in Group A, I think Group B we're definitely going to see some faster qualifiers. So we went over the playoff standings for the stream during practice earlier between the two practice sessions. We'll go through the regular season standings now to see who's in the race for the regular season championship, because that we did not go over, and see how that has shaped up after Talladega a week ago. Kyle Larson still remains the points leader now for the 4th consecutive race weekend coming into this week, and he still has about a similar points lead as he did going into last week's race. It is 15 points. I think he was 17 points ahead, so only lost 2 to Martin Truex Jr. Truex getting a much better finish than Larson there. And a couple more stage points, so Truex closed that gap just a couple. Chase Elliott over the last several weeks with a win at Texas and then moving up another spot in the point standings last week is now 3rd. He's 22 points out of 1st. William Byron's 4th in the standings, is 24 out of 1st. And Tyler Reddick, after a win at Dega, moves up 3 positions in the standings. He is 43 points out of 1st place. Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, both within 1 race worth of points. Hamlin losing 3 spots after last week's crash at Dega. He's 51 points back in 6th, and Blaney in 7th is 57 points out of 1st. So those are all the drivers battling for the regular season championship against 7 drivers within 1 race worth of points. Max points you can get for a single race is 60 if you win both stages and go on to win the race. Chris Buescher on the racetrack for qualifying right now, 10th driver to qualify, just trying to break into the top 5. He was 4th in his group of practice and I believe was 10th overall in practice, so he may be a contender here. In the green off turn 4, lost just a little bit of time, maybe got a little loose there, and a 22.346 on lap 1 for Buescher, so he'll try to run 1 more to best himself into the top 5 this go-around. Gonna have to have a significant pickup in the middle of turns 3 and 4. A lot better in 3 and 4 than what he was in 1 and 2 on this second lap specifically. And definitely better through 3 and 4 and off the exit of the corner this time as far as the steadiness in the wheel, but the lap time was slower as he dropped off a couple tenths from lap 1 to lap 2. So Buescher will not make the fastest 5, and now it's time for Carson Hocevar to see if he can break his way in. Hocevar in the green through turns 1 and 2 so far, but as he gets up off the exit of turn 2, loses a little bit of ground. Seems like he braked quite a bit early getting into 3 and 4. This is going to allow him to get back to the gas sooner. As he carries that momentum off the exit of the corner, he is not going to break into the top 5 on lap 1. 7th for Hocevar, 22.419. He's going to run a second lap to try to get into the top 5. Wider entrance that time through turn 1 as he widened that line out. He's definitely better in 1 and 2 than what he seems to be in 3 and 4 on both laps here in qualifying. Although he did pick up, and I believe it is not going to be enough. And it is not. Second lap was quicker, but he did not move up in the leaderboard. 22.374 for Hocevar. Didn't pick up much, but he picked up a little bit. And now it's Ryan Preece's turn here in qualifying. Preece trying to get up there in the top 5 with the only other SHR car who has qualified. Barry's 4th right now. Preece is 9th after his first lap, 22.512, and he's going to have to pick up quite a bit more. He's going to have to find a couple tenths of a second here on his second lap. And he is not going to be able to do so. Here's Jamie Little with Chris Gabehart, Denny Hamlin's crew chief.
Tires, what we're seeing with the cording, and for tomorrow's race.
Honestly, not very much. Now, I know we just lived Bristol where, some crew chiefs were guessing on practice day going into the race, but we saw this even worse a year ago here at Dover in practice. 15 laps in, everybody literally parked because their tires were gone. It's a green track. And then on race day, it rubbered right in. And on top of that,
Denny's giving you some choke points.
Very much. And on top of that, it's supposed to be pretty warm tomorrow, so I plan on it rubbering in and being fine.
Okay, so no concern in the 11 camp right now.
Thanks, Jamie.
You better get a chug in.
You got to drink
point.
it. Doesn't count.
Oh, Denny, you blew it.
No points.
No points for that one.
Daniel Hemrick picks up quite a bit from where he was in practice as he was towards the bottom of the speed charts there. Into the top 5 in qualifying with a 22.3 flat for Daniel Hemrick. Still 5 more drivers to qualify to try to knock Hemrick out of the Fast 5 for right now. So a lot of the drivers who are very early in this qualifying session still staying up there in the top 5, but Hemrick moves his way and bumps Wallace out for the time being. Todd Gilliland, first of the Front Row Motorsport Fords to qualify today. McDowell will be in the second group, and he was also top 10 in practice. Not Gilliland, but McDowell was. And he's had good qualifying speed this season on several other racetracks, not just the super speedways. Gilliland in the A&W car this weekend. Not going to get into the top 5 on lap 1. He's going to be towards the bottom of the charts here. 12th of a 22.635, and he's going to have a significant pickup on lap 2. A lot better through turns 1 and 2 on this lap. It was a very slow first lap that he put down. The second lap looks to be much quicker, but he's still not going to be quick enough to get into the top 5. He'll move up a couple spots on the leaderboard, though, to 11th, 22.559. Jimmy Johnson strapping in. He'll be the first driver to qualify in Group B. And he was in the top 5 in practice earlier, so I'm interested to see what Johnson can do in qualifying. Who knows? Maybe he's got another shot at glory this weekend. In some facets, so far off to a quick start. Noah Gragson, the third SHR Ford in Group A. He's the last of which in this first group of cars. And Gragson moves into the top 5, third, 22.253. Only driver to make a 20-plus lap run on the same set of tires in one solid run in practice. That may translate well for him into the race tomorrow, and a good starting spot could be another caveat to that. And Gragson does not pick up on lap 2. Lap 2 about a little over a tenth slower than lap 1, but still third fastest for Gragson. Pretty solid lap time. We'll see if he holds on into the top 5. That locks Denny Hamlin and A.J. Allmendinger into the fastest 5 for Group A. And the last 3 to go are Ross Chastain, William Byron, Brad Keselowski, and here's Chastain currently. Chastain keeping steady. Off turn 4. 10th on his first lap of qualifying, 22.407 for Ross. Hasn't had great success in qualifying for the most part this season, but he has had good runs at Dover in the next-gen car in the first couple seasons here with this car, so we'll see what he can do this weekend once the race begins tomorrow. But he's going to be starting mid-pack that have qualified so far, and that will lock Gragson into the Fast 5. William Byron is now on track. He was fastest in practice. You would have to think he's going to be a threat to have another top 10 qualifying spot this year, here this weekend. Braking early into 3 and 4, gets back to the gas, and this may get him to the top. And it does. A 22.107 for William Byron. He does not have to run a second lap, and he will not. He is locked into the Fast 5. And that's going to be a tough time to beat here for Brad Keselowski. And Keselowski was not in the top 10 overall in practice, so it's going to be tough for him to get into the top 5. His teammate Chris Buescher is currently 9th, and Buescher was faster than Brad in practice as well. Kyle Busch is the final driver above that cut line to qualify into the top 10 this weekend. A 22.276 is the time Keselowski has to beat. He's got 2 laps to get it done. And he'll begin lap 1 at the start-finish line this time by. Into the braking. Through turns 1 and 2. Patient in getting back to the throttle. Mashed the gas a little bit in the center of the corner. Rolls the throttle a little more down the backstretch. Lost some time. Might have been a little too loose off of turn 2. Pretty quick, though, off turn 4. Keselowski's going to be faster than his teammate, but no, he is slower than Buescher. 22.420 for Brad. And Keselowski does not run a second lap. 1 and done for Brad. So your Fast 5 in Group A. William Byron, Denny Hamlin, A.J. Allmendinger, Noah Gragson, and Kyle Busch. And Byron with a 22.107 tops the charts with a 162.844 mile per hour average. He was the fastest in this group in practice and now in qualifying through the first session. And Group A will have 17 drivers trying to go for a top 10 starting spot for tomorrow's race as well. We'll get the diecast showing in here during the break period between the two groups of qualifying today. So let me turn the camera on for a quick second. Got the Packers jersey on this week. It is draft weekend for the NFL. I haven't watched a single lick of it, I'm not going to lie. So don't ask me anything. I don't know a whole lot. I know some of the top 10 picks, and that's about it. Couldn't even tell you who my team ended up drafting the first round. That tells you anything. Here is a paint scheme for this weekend. No rhyme or reason I chose this car other than the fact that it was not in a box. So I don't have a box for this car, so it was easy for me to pick out before qualifying today. It is a Jeff Burton, I believe, 2003 Pennzoil Ford Taurus. Again, 2003 Pennzoil Ford Taurus. Jeff Burton, number 99. I actually have two Jeff Burton 99 diecasts. Believe it or not, I have three 124 scale Jeff Burton diecasts. I have one from his RCR days as well, but I've always liked the Pennzoil cars over the years, honestly. Not just because I'm a Blaney fan and he runs it from time to time on select races, but even before that, I've always liked them. Even granted it wasn't Pennzoil, but the Shell gas station car that Kevin Harvick had, Joey Logano has had now for a long time after the fact. But I just like the yellow on the car. I think it pops really well. And I like this yellow and black scheme, even though it looks fairly basic. So that is the diecast showing for today for this qualifying for the NASCAR Cup Series. And as qualifying continues on, as I mentioned, Jimmie Johnson first on the racetrack for Group B. And he was top 5, 5th overall in practice, 4th in his group. May have a shot here. We saw some early drivers stay in the top 5 all the way through Group A's practice session. 22.424. I don't think that lap time is going to hold. Johnson's going to have to pick up quite a bit here on lap 2. We'll see if he can do it. And he does not. 22.565, so a tenth of a second to fall off there. I don't think that lap time is going to be enough. Kyle Busch had a 22.2, or was in the 22.2s in 5th in Group A. So unless the pace falls off quite a bit here in Group B, I don't think Johnson will remain in the top 5. Kaz Grala wrecked. He was going to be the next driver, but again, he crashed in practice, so now Austin Dillon is on the racetrack for his qualifying lap. After Dillon, it'll be Zane Smith, Michael McDowell, Christopher Bell, Daniel Suarez, Austin Cindric, and Corey LaJoie. Zane Smith also crashed in practice, so he too will not qualify out of this group. Dillon to the top, 22.364, just ahead of the Jimmie Johnson 84 car. Dillon running a second lap to try to best his first. Still about a little over a tenth of a second off of his teammate Kyle Busch from the last round. Second lap was a slowdown of about 2/10 for Dillon as well. And now it's Michael McDowell's turn.
In my experience with these cars, I'll spit it out here in a minute, but my experience with these cars, in order to get it to turn like you want it to turn in the corner, you can trail out of the throttle, but you got to get all the way out of the throttle to let the thing rotate.
It told me, you're talking about Jimmy, and he's already been sideways a couple times getting into 3. That's something that you can do, a trick of the trade, if you will, getting into the corner to keep that thing loaded up and keep it underneath of you, just to be safe. That's certainly stuff that we used to do in that old car.
Michael McDowell, top of the board, 22.15.
You know, after never winning a pole in his entire Cup career, he's won 2 of them in the last 9 races.
Good job,
well done.
Chief. Good job, crew chief. Nice lap by Michael McDowell.
Big lap.
Good speed, and called him off. Yep. Save our tires.
22.15. That should advance him to the final round.
Second fastest lap time we've seen. We know this group's probably going to be a little bit stouter than that first group was in practice. Some heavy hitters in this group.
Christopher Bell started outside pole here last year. He has 5 final round appearances in 2024.
Yeah, and all these drivers have a lap time on their dash in the car. So we talk about the crew chiefs calling them off, but the drivers can do that on their own as well. Oh!
Oh, no, he's around.
We'll be able to fix this car. That was just a flip tap.
If he
Right down pit road.
Yeah.
How about that?
Just scraped up the bumper
Coming
cover.
down pit lane, you got one stop around the corner there.
We'll be able to fix this car. Whoo, did not look good for a while.
No.
Look how easy that car came out from underneath of him, Kevin.
Well, that's going to happen right over these bumps, and you're going to go down in there. As you go over the bumps, you're pulling the wheel down into the corner, and this is so easy to do here at Dover, to get the car back out from underneath you there, going in the corner over all those bumps, and pulling on the wheel, trying to go fast, carrying a little more speed into the corner. See all the rubber, see that car bouncing.
She's already out from underneath of him.
You see the back.
Getting worse.
You see the back of the car bouncing up and down right there. See it, how it just bounces 3 or 4 times, and if it touches those limiters at the same time in the back shocks, when it takes those big bounces, it'll just shoot it around like that every time.
All right, when this happens, how do you know when to be on the gas, when to be on the brake, how to try to minimize the damage as that wall is approaching?
Well,
everything's different.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, getting into the corner is a heck of a lot easier than that exit. You're carrying a lot of speed, a lot of different scenarios. Here, you're just managing it, trying to keep it underneath of you, keep that car loaded a little bit and under control. If it spins all the way around, you're going to nose it in, at least left side it. He did a good job keeping it under it.
Yeah. You look at the front wheels, and when your wheels are turned like that, we saw the difference right here. We see him turn the wheels back to the right so it doesn't snap around to get down onto pit road to keep the car straight. So these guys
overcorrect is what you're saying, right?
He didn't overcorrect the car, and you have to keep the throttle or the brake and down enough to keep it from snapping back to the right to what we call an overcorrection. So, Jamie?
How about Jimmy Johnson? He knows a thing or two about saving it here and winning here, 11-time winner. What is it like driving these race cars around here? How different from what you remember?
It is so different. You're more aggressive in some areas and more, saving my lifetime. If you watch the rear tires, I am working hard in there and the front tires trying to keep that car off the inside wall. But I'm glad I didn't do any of that today. I did that in Texas. And ironically, this is my first time qualifying an next-gen car other than Daytona. Charlotte breakdown, crashed in Texas. So to really understand the balance shift from race trim to qualifying trim, this is an important first rep for me. I feel like I left some time out there on the track, but got a good lap in, and we'll see where it puts us for the start of the race.
Well done so far.
Thank you.
Now you saw Jeff Gordon, Dick Berggren, and everybody on pit road giving Jimmy a standing ovation for that save.
I remember that one, don't you?
Oh, yeah. I was standing down there. And it's okay that you left some time on the racetrack, Jimmy. There's 3 guys behind you that don't even have a lap because of contact or an accident. It's so easy to do here.
Saw Suarez way up high off exit of 4. He's going to go for another lap. It cost him a lot of speed.
Suarez, the Atlanta winner, looking for his first top 10 start of the year. 22:54 puts him in the Fast 5.
That's the difficult thing on your first lap. If you make the mistake at 3 and 4, it pretty much bites you, messes up both laps, which was the case for Daniel.
Austin Cindric started top 10 in 6 of 10 races this season, including outside pole at Talladega. Michael McDowell with better mid-corner speed in 3 and 4. Cindric, though, is close, 6/100ths off, as he takes over second spot and goes for the second lap.
obviously didn't think that 21 was going to be enough. Tried to go for another one.
And it's 3/100 slower. So Suarez to the bubble, and bumping will begin.
As close as I've seen one on the second lap.
Yes.
Backing up what they ran the first.
Corey LaJoie's best start this year, 5th in Austin, Texas. Got up on his side and over at Talladega on the run to the checkered flag last week.
Got the job done, though. Across the finish line.
There was definitely a lot happening with a lot of different cars in the last several hundred feet as we came to the start-finish line last week.
When they went under us, Kevin, I saw a car, I thought, down on the wall, and I was like, guys, I'm telling you, I don't think my eyes are lying to me. Somebody was on their side there. We went back down to, sure enough, it was LaJoie. Not only was he on his side and rode that wall, it went all the way over.
He said, that's the first time I've flipped one of these cars, and I don't recommend it.
Yeah, the worst part about that flip is I'm sure when it landed on all 4 of those rub blocks, or 3 of those rub blocks, and the floor pan solid at the end.
I'll take that one. Priest's flip is the one I don't want. I don't want anything to do with that one.
LaJoie is 4th. Jimmy Johnson's on the bubble. Here's Joey Logano. 27 starts at Dover. And this season, 2 poles and 7 top 10 starts for Logano. Looks like he's going to best that 22.42 of Johnson. And Logano is 3rd, 22.31.
Car looked good and stable.
Bumps Jimmy Johnson, moves Corey LaJoie onto the bubble.
Yeah, and
another one.
Well, I think if you're in those 30s, you got to go for another one. I think that you have to have some sort of threshold before you go on the racetrack to say, okay, if you run this, stop. If you run this, keep going.
I agree. I'd like to see a low 20.
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'll give you that. How about that?
Yep.
Is that what you wanted? Low 20?
Yeah, 22.21 on the second lap. Perfect. Six days ago, final lap at Talladega, coming to the flag. Up on his side, up on the wall. All tied up, Corey LaJoie, and then it ends up on its wheels somehow. Whoops. That is not going to buff out.
Did you know there's a way?
Under a commercial break in the midst of qualifying here for Group B in the Wurth 400 Bush Bowl qualifying at the Dover Motor Speedway. Michael McDowell currently at the top of the charts. Austin Cindric is 2nd. Joey Logano 3rd. Austin Dillon 4th. Corey LaJoie is 5th. Zane Smith, Kaz Grala did not qualify as they crashed in practice. And then Christopher Bell, who is technically going to be 2 positions ahead of them, did qualify. He is in 8th with no time as he pulled the pit road after he had spun and backed it into the wall in turns 3 and 4. Hopefully they can get the back of that car buffed out to not have to go into a backup car for the race tomorrow, but definitely a tough circumstance for Bell, and he will be starting deep in the field regardless. The last 9 drivers who have to qualify yet for Group B would be Ty Gibbs, Ryan Blaney, Kyle Larson, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Chase Briscoe, Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman, Martin Truex Jr., and Tyler Reddick, all in that order. And again, they will have to try to break into the top 5 currently, and the fastest 5 from this group will match up against the fastest 5 of Group A and requalify for the top 10 positions. We'll continue our live commentary coverage here for the Wurth 400 Bush Pool qualifying again on KRC. Moses Agassi, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully I said your last name correctly. Earl Arnold Jr., thanks for tuning in as well. Which session are we in? We're in Group B, Session 1 right now. Ryan Blaney, Cars 3 diecast. I did not know Ryan Blaney was in Cars 3. I never watched it. Or is that a scheme he did of the Cars 3? Because if that's the case, I don't even remember that paint scheme, to be completely honest. Over under 20 cars on the lead lap at the finish tomorrow. I'd probably go under. I'd lean towards. Especially if we see anything like Bristol. I don't think we will, but just in case. Even then, we tend to get a lot of long green flag runs at Dover, so I would also kind of lean towards under. But I haven't really looked into the advanced stats on that either. All right, Ty Gibbs on the track, just wrapping up his first of 2 laps for qualifying. He will break into the top 5 here. 4th fastest with a 22.298 on his first lap. We'll see what his second lap will bring. Gibbs working his way into turns 3 and 4. And the second lap is going to be slower than the first.
And the more cars that have gone, the more you know, right? The more information that you have, the more you can hone in on that lap time on your dash to say, this is fast enough, I'm going to quit. This is slow enough, I need to keep going.
You heard it hit the rub blocks. The first lap I saw, I didn't hear anything, but I could see how violent the ride was as he crossed those bumps in the green. Second lap, you could even hear it.
We were talking during the commercial, but I'm nervous for everybody going into turn 3. Clint told me I was scared. Yeah, I think you're right. I think every one of them is at least nervous.
Well, this one's holding his breath. I know that. He already told me.
Blaney is fourth with a 23 with 7 drivers to go.
He's starting to make that low 20
look not so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to need maybe a lower 20.
Austin Dillon bumped. Blaney's made the final round in
Yes.
all 4 of the last 4 Dover races, and he's going to make it again.
It's a great exit. Not only did he get to the gas and carried that momentum, started the momentum, he was able to stay with the gas, which is so important here, Kevin.
Kyle Larson, pole winner for 3 of the last 4 races this season. In fact, all 3 of the last 3 races he has made a qualifying lap. He's ended up on the pole.
Going to need some speed. Wasn't necessarily setting the world on fire in practice with his car. Still looking for a little bit of speed.
21st overall in practice, to Clint's point. 7th right now on lap 1. Larson picks it up, but only to 6th with a 22.33.
I get lost in the sound of the cars. It's so neat to hear all the throttle and engine and bouncing and the different pitches in the engine.
It tells a lot of the story.
It does tell a lot of the story.
Ricky Stenhouse finished a season-best 4th at Talladega last week. Looking to make his first final round appearance in qualifying this season.
Well, I think as we expected, guys, this group is definitely a little bit faster than the first group, and that low 20 is...
This is a great lap for Stenhouse.
29, he will bump Ty Gibbs.
Good decision there to shut it off. Always my decision, Clint.
I tell you what, decisions being made for me is that Hungry Jack pancake on the side of that car. It's still kind of chilly outside. It's just kind of a breakfast, brunchy kind of day. Let's go get one.
Brunchy. That can't be the word of the week, can it?
No.
Okay.
Wouldn't be that simple.
Well, we can actually say that.
Yeah, no hullabaloo.
What was that?
Hullabaloo.
Oh, was that correct, Mike?
There's no hullabaloo. It's hullabaloo.
That's correct. Chase Briscoe. Best start of 5th in 2 of the last 3 races.
Got some green.
Ricky Stenhouse with a 29.
He's bouncing a lot.
And we'll start locking in drivers here with 5 to go.
Going to bounce into the top 5 for now.
But it is 3rd for Briscoe, and Blaney is locked into the final round.
Good lap. Just wanting more, Kev. Young. Is that just youth?
I don't know. It's a long time to hold your breath.
Well, he just paid the price. Yeah. Couldn't get back to the gas in 3
and
and
if
4.
we make it to the second round, we have wasted a lap on our tires.
2 tenths slower,
but
2.
In their defense, it's hard to know what's fast enough in this round with the end of the groups coming up.
I don't think this low 20 that Mike was wanting out of Logano is going to be enough.
Going to be close.
Which side of a 21 do you want? 21 with a 7 or 21 with an 8? Look how tight that is.
Chase Elliott has 2 Dover wins and a pole. 7 top 10 starts this season. That's tied for the most. Elliott way down the list with a 55.
Looks way too free.
You know, when you see these cars not have the speed, it immediately puts my mind in, all right, what's their plan? There's always a plan with an organization like this. Is it drivability, raceability in this race? It's got to be, Kev.
You're going to have your car driving good tomorrow, and it's going to have to take care of the tires. Whether the track rubbers up or not, you know, the tires are still going to wear out. So you want yours to not wear out quicker than everybody else's. So this is going to be an interesting Friday or a Saturday to Sunday conversation with my crew chief and my engineers.
So Michael McDowell is now locked into the final round. Alex Bowman on track. 300th start as a best Dover start of 5th in 2019.
Right there with his teammate Larson. Showing some green this lap, guys. Can he get it done in 3 and 4? Stay with it.
45 for Bowman on the first lap. He needs to pick up a 10th and a half to get into the final round.
Got the speed through the center. Can he keep the throttle down, up, off? I think he does. How about this?
3rd with a 22.16. And that will bump Joey Logano out of the Fast 5.
Sure thought that low 20 was going to be enough. Not the case.
Martin Truex Jr., 4 wins and 3 poles here. He has made the final round in the last 5 races this season. So Bowman locked himself in.
McDowell is the only one in this top 5 of this group that's with one lap on his tires. This guy's going to look for a big lap the first one. Not going to see it with Truex either. He's going to have to run a second one, even if he does make the round of 5.
Well, I think that's going to be interesting as we get to this second round. Is that second lap the money lap on these tires?
That's my point. There's only one in this group so far, McDowell. Second place at 15 with 1 lap on his tires. I think that could play dividend in that next round.
Truex moves up 1 spot to 7th. Austin Cindric on the bubble with a 22.21 with a 7.
With 1 more.
And
hold off. Tyler Reddick.
Yep, that's locked Chase Briscoe into the final round. Tyler Reddick, last week's winner at Talladega, looking for his first front row start of the season.
Got some green there, Kev. Bouncing back and forth out of it. Back to the corner up a little bit. Discipline drove down through the center with a lot of speed. Stayed with it up off. He did it.
Whoa, second with a 13.
That's good.
Give me 2.
One lap.
Nice job.
Off.
Nice job.
Thank you. That 1 lap.
Thank you, crew chief.
That will bump Austin Cindric out of the final round, and Reddick, along with McDowell, will each have just 1 time trial lap on their tires moving to round 2. So we're all concerned with the top 10 and who makes it into the final round, and here they are from 22.06 to 22.27 in Group A.
So Ryan Blaney tops Group B in qualifying. Your Fast 5 from this group would include Ryan Blaney, Tyler Reddick, Michael McDowell, Alex Bowman, and Chase Briscoe. Blaney's lap time of an average speed of 163.125 miles per hour and a lap time of a 22.069, and it was on his second lap. So we will see how this is going to fare when the top 10 requalify. Again, positions 6 through 19 for Group A. Group B will be determined based off of the row for the starting position. So outside row will be Group A, inside row for Group B. In qualifying here today, again, position 6 through 19. But the top 5 in each group will requalify for the top 10 here in a few minutes as we continue this live commentary stream of the Wurth 400 pole qualifying. Be sure to hit the like button if you guys haven't done so yet. Subscribe for more NASCAR content as well. 37 likes on the stream so far. Goals to get to 50, so be sure to hit that like button, everybody. Again, the goal is 50 likes on the stream. And I'll put a poll up in the chat here while we're waiting for this final group to begin, and I'll ask you guys who you think is going to qualify in the poll based off the lap times that we have seen from this group. Put Ryan Blaney in there because he was one of the fastest. William Byron was the fastest in the first group. Trying to see the list of other drivers who we could potentially put up towards the top. I feel like it's just between those two, honestly. Well, we'll throw Tyler Reddick in there. He's shown some good speed this weekend. Got some momentum after winning Dega last week. Pole Dover. All right. Jet dryers, sweeper trucks out on the racetrack trying to blow all the marbles off. Any loose rubber here while we're under the break period between Session 1 and Session 2 of qualifying. The Xfinity race is at 1:30. So again, 1:30 Eastern Time today, our NASCAR Xfinity Series coverage will begin. I'm not sure how long I'll leave this poll open for that I just put up in the chat, but again, you can vote of the last 10 drivers who you think will qualify on the poll. Got Blaney, Byron, Reddick had the 3 fastest times through Group A and Group B of qualifying. 2 Toyotas, 4 Chevys, 4 Fords in the final 10. One crash in qualifying, that was Christopher Bell. 2 in practice earlier of Zane Smith and Kaz Grala, which has lengthened out this stream a little bit. We were probably looking at getting done between noon and 12:30, but the 3 cautions we had have lengthened the practice session and now into qualifying here. So still waiting our fastest 10, and again, we will still be live bottom of the next hour. About an hour from now, 1:30 Eastern, for the NASCAR Xfinity Series Bet Rivers 200 at Dover Motor Speedway. Our live commentary coverage for tomorrow's NASCAR Cup race will begin at 1:30 Eastern Time tomorrow afternoon. Again, tomorrow afternoon, 1:30 Eastern Time will be our Cup race coverage. We'll take our final ad break here, continue our Bush Pole qualifying on KRC. And we're at 37 likes on the stream right now. Our goal is to get to 50. Again, the goal is 50 likes on the stream. We are at 37. Still 10 drivers to re-qualify now and have a shot at the pole. The 10 drivers not in this order would be Kyle Busch, Noah Gragson, Ryan Blaney, Chase Briscoe, AJ Allmendinger, William Byron, Michael McDowell, Tyler Reddick, Alex Bowman. I believe the first 5 from Group A in this order, Kyle Busch will be first. Then it will be, let's see, who else would be up there? I believe it'll be Hamlin after Busch, then Gragson, Allmendinger, and Byron. I believe that will be the order of the first 5. The order you see on our screen right now is just a numerical order of the drivers who will be in the second and final round. But I believe the order of the first 5, again, would be Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Noah Gragson, AJ Allmendinger, and then William Byron. Could be wrong on that. I think AJ might have been closer to the bottom. Actually, I think I might have flip-flopped Denny Hamlin and AJ. I think after Busch, it might be AJ, then Gragson, Hamlin, and Byron. One of those two. It's one of those two orders. Wish you would just order it in the correct order 100% of the times. It's weird. Some weeks it does and some weeks it doesn't. I can tell that this week it's not right because Blaney was just the fastest in the second group and he's listed 4th on here, and you can see that they're all in numerical order based on the car numbers that they drive and not the actual order that they will qualify in, where in the first round for Group A, Group B, the order is always the same, but then when the raw feed resets everything, it's not the same after that. Some weeks it is, but not every week. And this is one of them. We're up to 40 likes, 10 away from our goal of 50. Again, 50 likes is the goal for the stream, so be sure to hit that like button if you guys haven't done so yet. And the Xfinity Series live commentary stream is already up, so you guys can go straight there after the finish of this one.
I don't think it'll change anything by the time I go. Yeah, usually sometimes it blows stuff into the groove, but it looks pretty clean right now, so it looks like they did a pretty good job with it. So I don't think it'll have much of a factor at all. Good luck. Thanks.
Denny Hamlin was second fastest in Group A.
Okay, so I did have Hamlin and Allmendinger mixed up.
I'm a little bit concerned about all that stuff being blown into the groove, so.
All right, 4 Chevys, the first one to find out, right? 2 Toyotas and 4 Fords are set to run for the pole here in Dover.
All right, so the order is going to be Busch, Gragson, Allmendinger, Hamlin, Byron. I saw them lined up on pit road. So Kyle Busch first, then Gragson, then Allmendinger, then Hamlin, then Byron. Top 10 is good at Dover. The top 10 is good anywhere. Never a bad thing to finish in the top 10. Some programs, heck, top 15 or top 20 is good. Billy Carjoy, thanks for tuning in. I didn't see you in the chat earlier. Again, be sure to hit that like button. Comment in the chat throughout the course of this. Subscribe. Corey Berg pulling for Kyle Busch here in qualifying. A couple of you guys are pulling for Busch. Other leading the poll right now for who you think will qualify on the poll, coincidentally. 53% of the votes going towards that pick. The other 3 options to pick from are Ryan Blaney, William Byron, and Tyler Reddick. This is reminding me of Dover a little bit, where Ryan Blaney qualified on the pole there in Group A and Group B, and then they got into the race, and he did not run well in the race. And with this being a concrete track, and we're seeing cording of tires here in the early going, although I don't think it's going to be to the extent that we saw at Bristol because of the warmer temperatures for tomorrow versus what we're seeing at the track today. Air temp going to be 20 to 25 degrees warmer tomorrow, so you would think the track should rubber in a little bit better. At the same time, it is coincidental that Ryan Blaney is fast in practice at qualifying today, fastest overall in practice and so far in qualifying. It's the closest to run a 21-second lap time at a 22.069 for his qualifying lap from the first session. Sharitha Cooper saying Kyle Busch #1 also. Well, he's about to roll out onto the racetrack, and we're about to find out if that statement will be true or false. Well, he'll be #1 at least right away, and being the first of these final 10 out there. He'll be #1 at least for a little bit. Will it be a little bit, or will it be a lot of it? Busch on his get up to speed lap. Off of turn 2, down the back straightaway. 13 career top 5s at Dover. 36 career starts at the racetrack. 3 wins to go along with those 13 top 5s. Busch starting his timed lap, his first of 2. Curious to see what kind of fall off we'll get from the first round to the second round as well. Bristol we saw quite a bit. Similar track temps, concrete racetrack again here today. Could see that in this as well. First lap for Busch, 22.196. He actually picked up from where he was in his first round. He ran a 22.2. So picked up a couple hundredths of a second, it appears. I think he had a 22.226 if I remember correctly. Second lap for Busch at the line. Looked like he got a little loose off turn 4. And that second lap was actually slower than the lap he had in his first round. Now it's Gragson. Has to beat a 22.196 to get to the top. Noah's qualified top 10 a couple times already this season. And he's not pacing well on this first lap to get up to Kyle Busch. I believe Busch is one of the few drivers that actually ran only one lap of everybody that qualified in the first session. A 22.581 for Gragson on his first lap in session 2. Needs a big pickup. Looking to pick up, but I don't think he's going to pick up enough to get to Busch. Nope. Couple tenths off. But he did pick up a little bit. 22.4 flat for Noah Gragson. That'll be his timed lap for his second session. And now we've got the only part-time driver for the Cup Series side of things that has made it to the qualifying of the top 10. And it looked like AJ almost got into the wall off turn 4 as he was getting up to speed. Definitely pushed a little wide there, and that's probably going to hurt his momentum quite a bit getting into turn 1. I don't know if he touched it or not. It was very, very close. Definitely seemed to have maybe either got back into the gas too soon or just pushed tight. One way or another, he's over half a second off Busch's lap time on lap 1, so he's definitely going to run a second lap to try to go at it again. And he's just going to back off in the middle of 1 and 2. AJ does not like the handling of his race car, so his timed lap is going to be a 22.758, one of the slower laps we've seen in qualifying today of those that have completed a lap. Yeah, they get up to speed lap wasn't good. He definitely didn't like the handling, didn't want to wreck out of it. He's got a top 10 starting spot for tomorrow. Allmendinger playing it safe. And now the Mavis Tires Toyota on the racetrack of Denny Hamlin. One race with this race here today. 22.571 for Hamlin on his first lap. Needs a significant upgrade here to get to Busch's lap time of a 22.196. He is not going to be able to get there. He's going to be a couple tenths off, and it looks like Hamlin did not pick up from lap 1 to lap 2. Actually, no, he did, just a little bit. Picked up maybe a half a tenth. 22.448 will be the timed lap Hamlin will take. It was his second. And now it is William Byron, who is the fastest in Group A practice and qualifying for round 1. Can he back that up here in round 2 to get to the top of the charts on Kyle Busch, who was the first to hit the racetrack of this group of cars and is still first on the leaderboard? And you can still vote for who you think will qualify on the poll. Change your votes as well. Byron's first lap was closest to Busch, but not at the top yet. 22.293 on lap 1 for Willie B. Can he pick up in 3 and 4? Lost a little bit through 1 and 2 from his first lap. Second lap through 3 and 4. Still over a tenth off of Busch's fast lap. And so Kyle Busch holds on. A 22.196 for Kyle Busch. He remains on the pole. 5 drivers still to qualify. And those drivers would include Chase Briscoe, followed by Alex Bowman. Then Michael McDowell, Tyler Reddick, and Ryan Blaney. Those will be the 5 drivers in that order to qualify and have a shot to go for Busch's top time of a 22.196. And the only two drivers that took just one lap of qualifying out of this Group B slate of drivers that still have to re-qualify would be Michael McDowell and Tyler Reddick. The other three ran 2 laps. That seemed to be a pretty big difference maker, at least of the first 5 in this second session. Sefa Malik, thanks for tuning in. 48-24. Really fast. Yes, they are. Yeah, Byron always qualifies well. And even if he doesn't get a front row starting spot today, he's going to be starting more than likely in the top 5, it appears. I don't see that many drivers from the second group beating him. Less cooldown period as well. I don't know if that's going to help or hurt these drivers that still have to qualify. Once again, a reminder, the NASCAR Xfinity race is today at 1:30 Eastern, so about 45 minutes from now, we'll have live commentary coverage of the Bet Rivers 200 for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Again, NASCAR Xfinity Series action at 1:30 Eastern here this afternoon. Tomorrow's race coverage for the Wurth 400 at Dover for the Cup Series will begin also at 1:30 Eastern with our pre-race show. Go through all the predictions for who I think will run well, not run well for that race. Late fantasy advice, and much more. And obviously, we'll get into the live flag the flag coverage right thereafter on that same stream. So again, 1:30 start time today and tomorrow, both Eastern times, for our Xfinity and Cup Series coverage for the rest of this weekend's events at Dover. Truck Series off this weekend, so just these 3 streams in the 2 races. And also be sure to hit the like button if you guys have not done so yet. Again, our goal is to get to 50 likes on this stream. We are currently at 43. So we are 7 likes away from our goal of 50. We have 5 drivers still to qualify, so we probably really only have like 5 to 10 minutes of the stream left. Maybe even less than that. Chase Briscoe on the racetrack for his first of 2 laps as he hits the start-finish line to begin it. As he tries to go for the pole. One of 2 Stewart-Haas Racing Fords that made it into the top 10 in qualifying. Gregson currently 3rd. And Briscoe's first lap not looking great. Honestly, this first lap's going to be one of the slowest of those that have requalified in the top 10 so far. A 22.6 flat for Briscoe. Even 2/10 exactly off of his teammate Gregson to the 1,000th of a second. Looking for a massive pickup here on lap 2. It doesn't look well for him. And Chase Briscoe on lap 2 does pick up, but still remains in 5th. A 22.544 was his lap time, and next is going to be Alex Bowman. I almost wonder if being the first car on the clean racetrack might have helped Kyle Busch too. They cleaned the racetrack off quite a bit in between the 2 qualifying sessions. That might have helped Busch. Big wiggle by Bowman in 1 and 2. Caught the race card, trying to dig deep. He's going to have to reset himself, have a good 3 and 4, so he can go after it on lap 2. Bowman's car is all over the racetrack right now, looking sketchy. 7th of 7 for Bowman on his first qualifying lap. And his second lap does not look to be anywhere close to where Busch was at. He is looking to pick up at least 1 position here. Still pacing well enough to at least beat A.J. Allmendinger. It's going to be close, and he does. 22.636, about 2/10 of a pickup for Bowman to get to 6th place. 3 drivers to go. Michael McDowell, then Tyler Reddick and Ryan Blaney. 1/10 of a second, about the difference between Busch and Byron on the top spot currently. And remember, McDowell only ran 1 lap in his first qualifying stint. Less cool-off time, and not as clean racetrack as Busch, and on this first lap does not appear to be anywhere quick enough to get to Kyle. 6th on lap 1 for McDowell, 22.629. See if he can pick up to at least get into the top 5 here. Through turns 1 and 2. Now in the middle, 3 and 4, looked very loose in. Might have chopped the angling of his apex off just a little too much getting into 3 also. And McDowell will not pick up from lap 1 to lap 2. His first lap will be his quickest. He'll remain 6. 2 drivers ago, Tyler Reddick and Ryan Blaney. And they were the 2 fastest drivers overall in practice. And Reddick only has 1 lap on his tires, just like not only Kyle Busch, but Michael McDowell, even though McDowell qualified still outside the top 5. Reddick with a pretty clean first lap. He's going to be up into the top 5 here. Third on lap 1, 22.328 for Reddick. And he will not go after a second lap. So Reddick is going to be content here with just running the 2 laps. Surprised. 22.328 here for Tyler Reddick. Does not run 2 laps. He runs just the 1. Locks himself into 3rd for the moment, which will be at least a row 2 starting position for Reddick. Whether that be the outside or the inside of the row, we'll have to wait and see. Ryan Blaney is the last to qualify. Will Kyle Busch get the pole? A lot of you guys in the chat were pulling for Busch to get the pole coming into this final round. He was the first of the 10 to go. That clean racetrack might have been the way to go for Kyle, but we'll see if Ryan Blaney, who was fastest overall in practice and qualifying, can get to Busch's lap time. 22.069 is what Blaney ran back in his first session. Busch was the only driver, I think, to pick up from where they ran in session 1 to session 2. Picked up a couple hundredths. Blaney second, lap 1, 22.229. 300ths of a second off of Kyle Busch. Can he pick up 300ths of a second on this second lap? Blaney off turn 2. Good lap going for him, but he still needs to pick up in 3 and 4 to get to Busch's time. Based off where the ghost car is on Fox's graphic. Off the exit of the corner, Blaney will not pick up. He will actually slow down from lap 1 to lap 2 by about 1/10 of a second. And Kyle Busch has scored the pole, his first pole of 2024. And Jamie Little is with him.
This A team, what does getting the pole here, getting this little shot in the arm do for you?
I mean, we started out really good. The first month was strong. We had some really good races there and just had other issues. But you're right, the last month or so has definitely been a struggle with speed. Talladega is a crapshoot anyways, but it's pretty funny. We were standing here talking about sitting on the pole here last year as well, too. You know, the rain out, and we started first, and then my overexcitement of coming down pit road the first time, speeding on pit road, set us to the back and didn't quite have the race we wanted. So don't want to make that same mistake again this year. So already looking to that. But, you know, the FICO Camaro guys here did a great job. RCR, ECR, thank you. Lucas Oil, everybody for all the hard work. I mean, we're wanting to trend the right way and putting in the effort, putting in the hours, putting in all the extra work and trying to figure out exactly what's going on and why. But, you know, this is our first test of it. We felt like Dover and Kansas would be a really good test of some stuff. And, hey, what do you know? It worked, so let's go.
Kyle Busch gets his first pole of the year. He does it at Dover, Mike.
He's the 7th driver to win a pole this season. It's his 34th.
All right, 34th career pole, second at Dover, and the first of the season for Kyle Busch. Ryan Blaney, first career front row start at Dover as well, as he qualified second. He was the last driver to qualify here today. We'll go through the top 10 of the qualifying order for your race tomorrow at Dover, the Wurth 400. Kyle Busch again on the pole. Ryan Blaney outside of the front row in second. Row 2 is going to be William Byron and Tyler Reddick. Row 3, Noah Gragson, Denny Hamlin. Row 4 for tomorrow will be Chase Briscoe, Michael McDowell with Alex Bowman and AJ Allmendinger rounding out the top 10 in row 5. So that will be the starters towards the front of the field for tomorrow's race at Dover for the NASCAR Cup Series. That is going to conclude today's live commentary stream. Be sure to hit the like button if you guys have not done so yet. Subscribe for more NASCAR content. Live commentary coverage at Dover coming your way here in a little bit. 1:30 Eastern Time, bottom of the next hour. We will be live once again about another 35 minutes or so from now for our Xfinity Series race coverage. Our NASCAR Cup race will also begin tomorrow at the same start time at 1:30 p.m. Eastern tomorrow afternoon as well. Hope to see you for both of those streams. See you soon, everybody. Thanks for watching through the late morning into the early afternoon of this Wurth 400 practice qualifying at Dover. See you soon.